Six-team All-Star Juan Mendez leads fourth-seeded Niagara up against the top-seeded Manhattan Jaspers, who received a double bye into today's semifinals. It's Manhattan versus Niagara coming up next. From Sovereign Bank Arena in Trenton, New Jersey, it's our 2003 EUS Communications MAAC Tournament Semifinals. Game number one has Niagara versus Manhattan. And as mentioned, the Jaspers, as the number one seed, got a double bye, while this weekend the Purple Eagles had to earn their way into the semis with a quarterfinal win yesterday over Iona. Tremel Darden, one of the double-figure scores with 17. James Mook Reeves scored 16 points. While the floor general for Niagara is Alvin Cruz. He has the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the conference, but it all revolves around Mr. Mendez. 2 of his 21 points as Niagara beat Iona to reach the semifinals. And we take a look at the Final Four on the brackets, brought to you by GHI. Here in Trenton, they are getting ready to see the Jaspers take on the Purple Eagles. And welcome everybody to Trenton, along with Rob Kennedy. This is Doug Sherman. Glad you could join us, and we're glad that the Jaspers could join us. They've been away for the last couple of days because of that number one seed, but now the top seed is ready to go.
Well, now it's time to play, and they hope what happened yesterday happens today. All three bye teams won yesterday. They're well rested, but they've got a very tough task here against a very talented Niagara team.
Indeed, and we're going to highlight 2 of those talented players for Niagara, Tremel Darden and Juan Mendez.
Well, Darden's always been a great athlete. Now he's made himself a very good basketball player as well. Juan Mendez, on the other hand, the best low post scorer in the MAAC. He also gets it done on the backboards, tops in the conference.
Meanwhile, for the Jaspers, they have 3 all-conference players. We're going to highlight 2 of them, including Luis Flores, the Player of the Year.
Well, Flores has been dominant all season long, but he's also gotten a lot of help from the senior, Jared Johnson. You look at his numbers, making shots inside. Flores has called him the team MVP.
Let's take a look at today's keys to the game, brought to you by HSBC, the world's local bank. First for Niagara.
Well, they've got to make good decisions at the back end of the press. They've got to attack Manhattan, try to get some scores outside. And then the refereeing, very important to them for 2 reasons. One, they're not deep. They've got to keep their 5 guys on the floor, and they also have to keep Luis Flores off the line. He went to the line 16 times in each of their games. For Manhattan, their biggest thing is they have to finish the deal. Don't worry about everything else. Make sure that they come away with the conference championship to match their regular season championship, and they've got to make shots from the outside over top the Niagara zone.
The MAAC semifinals are upon us. Game number 1 in just a few moments. Manhattan against Niagara. When we come back, the lineups and the tap here on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. GHI, healthcare coverage from A to Z. By HSBC, the world's local bank. FYE for your entertainment, music, movies, games, and more. And by JetBlue Airways. It's not the only way to fly, but it should be. Welcome back to Trenton, New Jersey. Glad you could join us here for our men's semifinals on Sunday night. And let's give you the starting lineups for our first semifinal, brought to you by I Love New York. Show your love for New York State. James Mathis, Juan Mendez, James Reeves, Alvin Cruz, and Tremel Darden. They will go head-to-head with the top-seeded Jaspers from Manhattan College, Jared Johnson, Kenny Minor, Jason Benton, Luis Flores, and Jason Wingate. Their head coach, Bobby Gonzalez, out of Buffalo State. He has put together the makings of a dominant MAAC program in Riverdale. Meanwhile, Joe Mihalik trying to get back to the MAAC championship game for the 2nd straight year. And we are just about set for action. The Purple Eagles are in their road purple uniforms as the number 4 seed against the Jaspers as the number 1 seed in their white uniforms. And Jason Benton will jump against Juan Mendez. And we are underway. Niagara with the ball first. Now, Rob, again, to set this up, the Manhattan Jaspers Some of their players came down to Trenton on Friday, but for the most part, the team has been up in the Bronx on campus all weekend long until last night. They came down. There was no reason for them to sit in a hotel room for 2 days while everybody else is playing.
And what it does is it keeps a regular routine that you've had all season long. Clearly, that's the advantage for Bobby Gonzalez and his team for winning the regular season championship.
And the assumption is that they have fresher legs, having not had to play yesterday or the day before. We have a jump ball, and on the alternate possession, it'll go the other direction.
And it worked out on the women's side. Manhattan women coming away with the MAAC tournament championship. They were the #1 seed and got themselves into the semifinals. Got the win earlier today over Siena. So certainly anytime you can advance on into the semis without having to give the effort on the floor, it's a huge advantage.
And so far on the men's side, things have gone according to form for the most part, as you can tell by the top 4 seeds being in the semifinals. This is #1 Manhattan against #4 Niagara. Our second game will have #2 Fairfield against #3 Siena. And we're still looking for our first points here. Here's Alvin Cruz, shovel past Darden. He can't get the roll. Long rebound. Flores tried to save, and he does. A dangerous pass underneath the Niagara basket. Jaquette to Johnson. And the senior misfires. Mendez with the rebound.
But that's the pace Manhattan wants. They want the game going up and down in transition.
Mook Reeves pulls his way to the hole, but he missed it. Mathis with the putback, and the Purple Eagles score first.
Well, just like yesterday, all of a sudden, Mathis giving him some early points. He had 5 early key points in a win yesterday.
Benton passes to Johnson, who has his shot rejected by Darden. And back the other way comes Niagara. Rebound, Alvin Cruz rips it away from Jaquette and puts it in. 4-0 Niagara.
Well, Niagara right now coming out and matching the energy of Manhattan early on. Manhattan, the team who likes to get up and down and run, but it's been Niagara who's been able to rebound and get it out.
Jared Johnson lost it. Reeves picks it up. Niagara 4, Manhattan nothing. 17:50 to go first half. Darden waited a bit too long to try and find Mendez. Block shot by Benton, and Flores comes away with it. It's a 3-on-1 for the Jaspers. Foul on Cruz. Non-shooting foul, and that's the first of the game.
That's where Manhattan's at their best, when they're able to get turnovers and bad shots at the other end. They're able to leak out. Look at this block from behind by Mathis, the freshman who starts and doesn't play a ton of minutes, gets things started. And then on the other end, they're able to convert. Darden on the miss, but again, good hustle to stay with it. Cruz finally gets it to go.
And now Manhattan with the basketball, still looking for their first points, down 4-0.
And you're going to see Niagara in the 3-2 zone all game long. Both teams will press, but with different objectives. Manhattan trying to force the pace and force turnovers. Niagara will press to try and slow the game down.
The brick wall of James Reeves forced the turnover. Flores had nowhere to go on the baseline.
And he is an immovable object. Terrific size, playing great basketball over the last 4 or 5 games.
Reeves listed at 6'8", 250. This is him with the ball, and he gives it back to David Brooks, who has come off the Niagara bench, and that's the typical pattern for Joe Mihalik's club. Mathis gets the start, but Brooks gets the bulk of the minutes at that position.
His instant offense, he's hit 9 threes over the last 2 games.
Cruz missed the 3, Jaquette with the rebound. Justin Jaquette, a third-generation Jasper. Johnson with the slam off the nice feed by Minor.
A Minor with the look away. Johnson always moving without the basketball. The senior showing his experience, finding the open spot.
Well, Johnson has been a huge part of this 21-6 season, the 5th winningest team in Manhattan College history. Here comes Flores, the #1 reason why the Jaspers are the top seed. His first 2 of the night.
We talk about the fact that Mendez, one of the best finishers inside in the league. Nobody finishes better in the lane as well than Luis Flores. Great size, balance, and strength.
Jaquette went for the steal. Instead, it's Darden dropping it off for Brooks. A little too strong. Mendez was fouled by Benton. First on Benton, and the first against the Jaspers.
You talked about, Doug, the terrific season that Jared Johnson has had. You see right there, finding the soft spot in the zone defense. Mendez stepped up, and Johnson flashed right into the opening.
Now, we talked at the top about the 2 all-star performers for Manhattan. Flores first team, Johnson third team, and waiting to come in at the scorers table, second team all-star Dave Holmes, who is also the 6th man of the year. And this is the way Manhattan loves to do it, much like Niagara, to have one of your better players in reserve to come in and spark things midway through the first half.
And both Bobby Gonzalez and Joe Mihalik bring that guy off the bench to try and help get them better. You sub, and both guys that come off, both David Holmes and also Brooks, are versatile and can play a couple different spots. Gives them a lot of answers off the bench.
And there is Dave Holmes, 6'7" junior from Washington, D.C., who went to Oak Hill Academy before attending Manhattan College. Mendez gets a pair. He averages nearly 18 points per game. It is 6-4. The Purple Eagles on top by 2.
And you see Niagara's zone press. They just back it up, force you to take time. So now when you set up against the zone defense, you're down to 20 seconds on the shot clock.
Just over 4 minutes into this MAAC semifinal. Flores this time dribbles back out as Reeves cut him off on the baseline. But then he tried to force it inside, and the steal by Reeves.
Good recovery by Mendez to get a hand on it.
A lot of contact, but Mendez, the supreme finisher, gets the layup.
He just powers through contact. He doesn't get bothered by it. He's got such great hands, strong hands.
Manhattan with the ball, down 8-4. Another pass by Luis Flores, deflected out of bounds. It'll be Jasper's ball when we come back. An official's timeout here at Sovereign Bank Arena in Trenton, New Jersey. It's Niagara 8, Manhattan 4, here on the MAAC Television Network. It has been a tremendous season for Manhattan basketball, not only on the men's side, but the ladies' side. The Lady Jaspers won the regular season title, much like the men. And then earlier today here in Trenton, they won the postseason tournament and the automatic berth in the NCAA. That's the trophy that the Lady Jays will take back to Riverdale. And congratulations to Sal Biscalia's club, and congratulations to Siobhan Kilkenny, who was the MVP on the ladies' side, and now the Manhattan men trying to duplicate that tonight and tomorrow night.
Niagara giving a different look out of the zone defense. Darden coming out and putting pressure further out.
Off the bench, Jason Wingate for 2.
Well, very important for Manhattan to get scoring out of Wingate and Minor.
They are both freshmen, both point guards, and get equal playing time for the most part. Coach Gonzalez able to ride the hot hand. Also into the game, Mike Konovelchik, who made the all-rookie team. Here comes Luis Flores. Pass again deflected. That's at least the third pass by Flores that hasn't found its mark. Didn't hurt the Jaspers that time. They trail 2, 8-6. Konovelchik to the low post for Johnson. Flores off the bounce pass, a little strong. Konovelchik tips, but here comes Mendez, who slows it down a bit. Alvin Cruz open from 20. Johnson grabs the rebound. Quick out. Flores on a breakaway. And the layup.
And again, Manhattan will leak out. Quick shot at the other end by Cruz. Not a good decision. Allowing Manhattan to get out and run.
Flores with his second field goal, and we're tied 8-8. Nearly 6 minutes gone here in the first half. Darden off the mark. Johnson again with a rebound. Last time we saw Johnson was on Senior Day last Sunday, where the Jaspers beat Iona and clinched the regular season title. And in that game, Jared Johnson had his career high. Mendez puts the Purple Eagles back on top 10-8.
Nice play by Cruz to be patient out on the break instead of forcing it like he did the last time. He allowed his teammate in both high school and college now, Mendez, to get himself into the low block.
Well, we talked earlier in the broadcast, Rob, about his assist-to-turnover ratio being the best in the league. He led the league also in assists at nearly 6 per game, and you saw right there that good decision-making process.
An underrated point guard who Joe Mihalik said he wouldn't trade any other point guard in the league for him.
Wingate off the Konovelchik miss, pulls it back out, and the Jaspers will reload, trailing 10-8.
Darden tired at the point of that zone defense, covering a lot of ground. He's got good size making it difficult to look over top of the zone defense.
But if you're Joe Mihalik with such a short bench, that's pretty much the way it's got to be. Johnson flashes into the paint but misses the jump shot. Mendez was fouled on the rebound.
David Holmes has struggled with foul problems the last few games. Now Gonzalez talked this afternoon. Very important to keep Holmes out of foul problems.
His first and the second against Manhattan. 12:40 to go in the first half, and we've got a whistle and a holding foul. Mike Konovelchik. That's his first and Manhattan's third. Rossi Karen has come into the game to run the point for Niagara. Senior guard who had a real good quarterfinal performance yesterday.
They played some very important minutes in the first half when Cruz got himself into foul trouble.
Pressure broken that time. This is Rossi Karen, number 5 for the Purple Eagles. There was a turnover. Flores took it away. Luis Flores on Tremel Darden. And a blocking foul. Both go down hard, but Flores earns a trip to the line.
When he gets himself into the open floor, he's thinking about one thing, getting himself to the rim. He's got the scorer's mentality, and again, he uses his body, always leaning in. He creates the contact, but bumps the defender off him.
First foul on Darden, number 2 on Niagara, and don't be fooled by the size of Luis Flores. We saw in the breakaway layup that he went for a layup rather than a dunk. He not only can dunk, he can dunk in traffic. So don't be thinking that he's a below-the-rim guy, just a perimeter shooter. He can really attack the rim.
He's got that great upper body strength and balance. When he bounces off the defender gets knocked out of the way, yet he's still able to finish.
Young man featured a couple of weeks ago in Sports Illustrated. A native of the Dominican Republic. And he gets 1 out of 2 from the free throw line. 5 for the junior captain for the Jaspers, who are back within a point. 10-9 Niagara. 12:22 left to go here in the first half. Reeves dribbles through the double team, and now Niagara with numbers. Brooks short on the jump shot. Reeves and Flores fight for it. It's Niagara with the ball.
Reeves all over the place, handling the basketball, clearing the board.
12 minutes on the clock. Niagara 10, Manhattan 9. Mendez at the high post trying to find Reeves underneath. He and Holmes battling. Darden for 3. Off the rim. Holmes with another rebound. Kenny Minor back in the game at the point for the Jaspers. Konovelchik hits. After missing his first, the freshman from Litchfield, New Hampshire, gets on the board.
And the play created by the dribble penetration of Kenny Minor. He's so quick with the basketball, able to get into the gap against the zone and kick it out.
And then Kenny Minor forces the turnover. The Jaspers will get it back when we come back. Timeout with 11:22 to go in the first half. Manhattan, the top seed, with a 12-10 lead here on the MAAC Television Network. HSBC is proud to sponsor the HSBC Family Section. HSBC salutes the MAAC in today's families in attendance. HSBC, the world's local bank. And I don't know if those kids were eating cotton candy or what, but there's something good on all of those fingers.
Cleaning them off on the cell phone, saying, hey, are we on TV?
Indeed they are. Here rooting for the Manhattan Jaspers against the Niagara Purple Eagles in the MAAC semifinals. And senior forward Jared Johnson will inbound for the Jaspers, who have their first lead of the night.
Niagara is struggling from beyond the three-point line, as is Manhattan. Manhattan's got to make some outside shots over top of the zone defense.
Konovelchik, after hitting the previous three-point shot, draws the foul on Mendez, 20 feet from the basket, number 1 on Mendez.
Well, good ball fake by Konovelchik, a terrific three-point shooter. Obviously, in the scouting report, you got to get out and make sure that you challenge Konovelchik on the perimeter.
Minor's pass taken away by Darden. Tremel Darden with the pull-up. Can't get the roll. The shooting woes continue for Niagara. Paul DeWitt was unable to track down the loose ball in the corner, and so the Jaspers get it back on top, 12-10.
Darden's gotten some good looks. 0 for 6 so far here this evening. Coming off a good game in the quarterfinals against Iona, where he had 17 points.
As we mentioned earlier, as is the case whenever Niagara is successful, because they have a relatively short bench, most of their key players get into double figures, and that was the case yesterday. If that's on Mendez, that's number 2. Instead, it goes against Paul DeWitt.
Holmes working the offensive glass.
Take your pick, either 43 or 44. Could have gotten that one in for Niagara. Very fortunate that it goes against DeWitt.
Lucky for Joe Mahalik that DeWitt got him first, but clearly Mendez got him as well. See Holmes, even though he comes off the bench, 3rd in the conference in rebounding.
He is 12th in the league in scoring and just a shade under 13 per game. And he was in the starting lineup for 4 games this season, Dave Holmes was, but Manhattan lost 2 of those games. And you know how superstitious coaches can be, although one of those losses was to Louisville, so, you know, what are you going to do? The other was to St. Peter's, albeit a much improved St. Peter's club, but you start 4, you lose 2. All right, we'll make you the 6th man of the year.
And he gives them so many different options coming off the bench. If they need scoring, if they need an inside sub or a perimeter sub, he can play both inside and out.
10 minutes, 40 seconds to go first half. 14-10 Manhattan. Niagara with the basketball.
Niagara very good at executing in their half-court offense. They get a ton done with their high-low sets.
David Brooks, whistle and a foul. Flores called for the personal. That is, it's on Konovalchik, his second. 33 as opposed to 3. So foul number 2 on Konovalchik, and Brooks will go to the line. Brooks with his first point. He had 15 off the bench in last night's quarterfinal victory against the Iona Gales. Konovalchik goes out.
Instant offense. Every time he comes into the game, they go right to him. You see his numbers, averaging in double figures off the bench. 4 of 5 from beyond the three-point line yesterday. He's been on fire from the outside.
And very consistent with his 10 points per game. His career high only 16, so he's usually right in that 8 to 12 point range, and you can count on him for that. 10:15 to go in the first half. 14-12 Manhattan. Justin Jaquette has come back into the game for the Jaspers. Flores, the entry pass. Johnson brings it back out. We're at the midpoint of the first half. Jaquette with a penetration. Johnson's pass bounces off a foot back to him. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Flores realizes that, hoists it up and hits.
That's one way to bail yourself out. Just put the basketball in Luis Flores' hands. He's either going to beat you off the dribble. He also has the ability to step out deep with good range.
Foul in the backcourt. And Jared Johnson picks up the personal as first.
Well, shot clock winding down. Just find Flores, huh? He's going to bail you out. See right there, the jab step to get the defender off him, and terrific range. 2-3 steps from beyond the three-point line.
And so the nation's 6th leading scorer has 8 points. Manhattan on top, 17-12.
Jaspers starting to heat up from beyond the three-point line. In their first win over Niagara, they knocked down 11 threes.
Mendez was fouled by Holmes. Number 2 on Dave Holmes since he came off the bench.
One thing's for sure, both these teams are tough. They got a bunch of tough guys. They'll bang and battle inside. Holmes got whistled for the foul. He couldn't believe it, nor could Bobby Gonzalez. And John Cal went over to him and said, you know what, that's enough. Just relax. And that's what happens. You get a double bye, you're sitting around for 2 games. Get yourself a little anxious over there on the sideline.
I think if this was Manhattan's 3rd game in 3 days, Bobby Gonzalez would still be up and running around like he does. There is Coach Gonzalez. the 2003 Coach of the Year in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. His club went 14-4 in the regular season to win the MAAC championship and earn this #1 seed. Oh, Mendez well on his way, Rob, to another double-double. He had one yesterday, his 8th of the season. So far tonight, 8 points, 5 rebounds.
He just puts up numbers, 21 and 11 yesterday, and that's a routine day for him. Terrific upside potential. As good as he is, he can even be better.
Just a sophomore. Jaquette thought about it. Flores thinks about it, does it, but missed it. Johnson tracks down the rebound. Back to a cutting Flores, missed with the left hand. Johnson, though, with another chance, and he was fouled by Cruz, and let's see if they say he was in the act of shooting or not.
Well, Jared Johnson gives him experience and leadership and energy as well. I mean, those are hustle plays. Tracking down loose balls off the offensive glass. Jared Johnson always brings it 110%.
Rebound number 4 for Johnson. Non-shooting foul. There's a turnover. And the Purple Eagles get it back.
Mathis involved with another hustle play. We saw his block earlier. Gives Joe Mahalik good energy. Scrappy guy. He expected more scoring out of Mathis this year. He just doesn't have any confidence in his jump shot right now, but just a freshman.
Manhattan swept the season series this year from Niagara. Cruz on the deck. Jaquette tries to get it to Flores. And Flores and Mathis wind up in a bear hug, kind of pretzeled there on the floor. And the possession arrow is heading the other way. Niagara's ball. There is no foul call, just a held ball, so it is Purple Eagles possession.
But you got to love the hustle by both teams. Right here, Cruz to the ground, but tries to make a play. Look at Reeves, the big guy on the floor. Then Jaquette. You got to love both teams showing you terrific effort getting to the floor.
17-14, Manhattan with a 3-point lead, 8.5 minutes left in the first half. Cruz tries to use the high screen. Johnson called for the reach-in foul, though, his second and the 7th on the Jaspers.
Well, you want to hedge that high screen, but you can't reach. Step out and show numbers, but get your hands up. Instead, on the reach, he gets a whistle.
1-1. And Alvin Cruz is 69% foul shooter at the line. Niagara with a 4-game winning streak. They've got a 17-11 record up against Manhattan and Bobby Gonzalez, which is 21-6. Again, the 5th winningest season in Manhattan basketball history. I don't think Coach Gonzalez will make the all-time record of 26 wins, which was accumulated back in 1995. That would take a deep run in either the NCAA or NIT tournaments.
Cruz struggled from the floor yesterday in the quarterfinals against Iona, just 1 for 8. But his ball handling ability and finding people, he still had a terrific floor game. And when you can now be a guy that has a good game and not put up points, that shows you he's now running the team.
2 for 2 from the line. He has 4 and will check out. Rossi Karen comes back in. Karen, a senior from Port Arthur, Texas. Places Cruz, who is from Puerto Rico. Quick break in the action to wipe up some perspiration off the floor. And off of the made free throw, we've got some pressure by the Purple Eagles. Both teams take care of business at the free throw line. Jason Wingate at the point. Finds Flores, who's gliding to the basket and draws the foul.
They get Mendez on that call. Good help side defense. The rotation by Mendez. Flores attacking at the backside of the press defense. Mendez got a lot of basketball, but they say he got bodied down below.
The reaction by Mendez upon learning that that foul was on him was just a smile. But nothing to smile about for Niagara. That's his second. Meanwhile, Flores gets a chance back at the line, a 91% foul shooter.
He always finds himself in the line. How about 14 of 16 the first game against Niagara, and then 15 of 16 from the line in the second game. And those are typical numbers for Flores. He gets a ton done from the line.
For instance, at the Holiday Festival in the title game against Iona back in December, he was 16 for 16. And if that doesn't win you the game, I don't know what else will. He got tournament MVP. And that was one of the big wins, one of many big wins this year for Manhattan.
Like, creates so much contact by leaning in, and then he makes good at the line.
Rossi Karen bottled up, able to find Darden in the front court, but he stepped out of bounds. Well, Darden 0 for 7 from the floor, and he commits another turnover here. It's a struggle for Tremel Darden. We take another look. He didn't even realize right there he stepped out of bounds.
And that's the 5th turnover for Niagara. Yesterday in the first half against Iona, a team that pressed almost the entire game, they had just 1 turnover.
Under 8 minutes to go here in the first half. Manhattan with the ball and a 3-point lead. Manhattan's first lead was at 12-10, and they have held that lead since. Jason Benton into the lane with the left hand. He's a natural southpaw, so that's the way he likes to go.
And the entry pass from Konovalchik, the good outside shooter, forces the defense out, allows the spacing to dump it inside.
Nice job to break the pressure. Here's Karen, 2-on-1. Mook Reeves looked to be the one who tipped that one home.
Well, Reeves so active, big. Came over his own man for the tip-in.
Back to a 3-point game. Wingate to Benton. That's a big-time collision and an offensive foul against Benton. Foul number 2 on Jason Benton. And we've got ourselves a timeout. Semifinal Sunday here at Sovereign Bank Arena in Trenton, New Jersey. The top seeds from Manhattan with a 3-point lead on the MAAC television network. Some of the folks who made the drive or took the train from New York City down to Trenton, New Jersey for semifinal Sunday here at the MAAC tournament. And we'd like to take this opportunity to tell you about the winner of the New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete Award for 2002-2003. Alvin Cruz and the Purple Eagles trailing 21-18 to the top-seeded Jaspers.
Niagara struggling from the field, but getting some done at the foul line. The Purple Eagles just 5 of 19 from the floor. One of the big reasons is Darden continues to struggle 0 for 7.
James Reeves, he hit a couple from out there yesterday, but missed on that one. Back out to Cruz for 3. Off the mark. Mendez with another rebound. If he had gotten that one to fall, that would have been his best putback of this weekend.
But also nearly his 3rd foul as he came over top for the offensive rebound. See both coaches saying it's a foul. Bobby Gonzalez thought it was over the back. Joe Mihalik thought they cleared out Mendez on the shot attempt.
Cruz off the inbound for 2. 6 points for Alvin Cruz. It's back to a 1-point game. Manhattan 21, Niagara 20. Keep your eye on Luis Flores, top of your screen. He's the MAAC Player of the Year. Loves to work the baseline as well. This is Holmes on the baseline. It goes out of bounds. Deflected by Niagara, so the Jaspers will keep it with 12 seconds on the shot clock.
What'd you call Mook Reeves? The brick wall. Once again, guys running into it. He just holds his ground defensively. That's how he doesn't pick up the foul. You see his arm straight up. So many times big guys will slap down and pick up the foul. Just use your body.
Holmes off the inbound does a great job of using his strength to get that up and in.
Well, able to seal. Also a nice job by Miner to ball fake and get the defender leaning one direction and then dumped it into Holmes.
Brooks comes back all the way from the front court to get that inbounds pass, and now Darden into the front court for Niagara. Under 6 minutes to go in the half. 23-20, Manhattan with a lead. Kenny Minor with the steal. Right to the basket. Drops it off, and Flores has himself 11 points.
Oh, nice play by Minor again. His quickness got everything started. That's why you make the run. Flores, good hustle. Minor found him.
The problem on that play was that David Brooks picked up his dribble in no man's land. Rebounding foul.
This is how you run the break. It all starts with the quickness by Minor defensively. Stays in bound, gets Mendez to commit. And then Flores, good hustle to make the run. You see right there, acknowledging his teammate for the nice pass. He scores 25 a game, but his teammates, no jealousy for Luis Flores. He's a terrific teammate.
He has 11 points so far here tonight. Meanwhile, that foul win against Konovalchik.
Yeah, Konovalchik, his third.
His third, yes.
That could be a big factor. Again, Konovalchik, terrific outside shooter from beyond the three-point line. They need his outside shooting. He was 6 for 11 in the 2 meetings against Niagara from beyond the three-point line. One of those guys that can stretch the zone out.
Mendez now with 10 points and 7 rebounds with over 5 minutes to go in the first half.
Quietly putting up some good numbers.
Jaquette, Minor, and Flores in the backcourt. Holmes and Johnson inside for the Jaspers. Good spacing in the half court.
Now Jaquette will get more minutes here in the first half with the foul problems for Konovalchik.
Jaquette hoists it up. Missed it. Flores after the offensive rebound. Missed off the bank. And the rebound for James Reeves. Minor. He is a pest defensively and almost came up with a steal. Now he does. And the foul against James Reeves. So Kenny Minor wreaking havoc in the backcourt.
Well, you called it. He's a pest out there defensively. So quick, also low to the ground. You're going to see him right here. All of a sudden, he sees the big guy spin. Run and jump. Anytime you see a guy spin right there, come running at him. Minor able to cover so much ground because of his quickness.
That foul on Reeves is first and the 7th against Niagara, so Manhattan has a 1-and-1. James Mathis comes back in, and Mendez will go to the bench. Well, if you like seeing little guys who are pests defensively, wait till you see the next game. Fairfield's Taekwon Goody, who at the size of maybe 5'7" can dominate on defense in a different way than his teammate Deng Gai, but the two of them caused a lot of trouble yesterday in the quarterfinals.
He was better than good against Kiki Clark yesterday. Yeah. He was great. Took Clark completely out of his game.
Alvin Cruz with a full head of steam to Brooks for 3. There's your instant offense off the bench, and the Purple Eagles back within a point, 26-25, 4.5 minutes to go in the half.
Like flattened right out as soon as he saw penetration from Cruz, got his hand set, ready to catch and fire.
Holmes on the baseline, cross court, Minor, wide open for 3. Rebound Brooks.
Skip passes over top the zone will create those open looks.
Mathis with a nice spin move, but Minor helping out from the blind side to knock the ball out of bounds.
Well, he's so quick you can't get away from him, huh? And the open floor in the backcourt, also inside. Kenny Minor gets a good hand, well deserved. As you said, he comes from nowhere. Look at that quickness. Make sure he doesn't foul as well.
Did you see the look on Mathis's face?
Where'd he come from?
Somebody get the license plate. Minor sits down, the 5'8" freshman from Baltimore, replaced by Jason Wingate, the other freshman point guard, who stands 6 feet tall, wears number 5 in white. Reeves underneath. Mendez got it knocked away by Jaquette, and the Jaspers with possession.
They had what they wanted, the high-low situation, able to dump it inside to Mendez. Good hands to knock it away.
Manhattan leading by a point with the basketball. 3:35 to go in the first half.
After the early pace was in Manhattan's favor up and down the floor, it's settled down to a half-court game where Niagara would like it.
Shot clock under 10. Jaquette short on the three-point try. Reeves able to tip it to Cruz. Brooks from the left side. This time he's short. Reeves missed the putback. Brooks dribbled it off his foot. And again, we've got a scrum, but it's the Jaspers who will have the breakaway. Jared Johnson with the finish.
Manhattan able to get out and run. Once again, Niagara with another turnover. Their 7th of the first half.
Niagara has had a couple of possessions here in the last couple of minutes that could have given them the lead. They couldn't cash in, but that time they do. Reeves with the layup, his second bucket.
And credit Darden. He made the play, got himself deep into the lane. He's able to jump over top of people, not only to finish with dunks, but that time to dump it inside.
Johnson's jump pass deflected away by Mendez. Here comes Darden again. Into the lane. Crowd wants to travel. Mendez tips. Reeves again. Count the basket in one. And the Purple Eagles are back on top.
And that's the strength of Niagara. Their front court. The size and strength of Mendez and Reeves starting to take over. See Darden. Crowd wanted to walk. Didn't shuffle his feet. But Mendez kept it alive. Just long enough for Reeves to come in and clean it up.
Reeves now with 7 rebounds to go along with his 6 points.
Number 1 and 2 in the conference in rebounding. These two guys take up size and so active.
And the foul against Jared Johnson, his 3rd. And the 10th against Manhattan.
That'll get Benton up off the bench. He'll come in as a sub after this foul shot.
Holmes the rebound.
They got him there too late, so now Johnson's got to be careful. Can't pick up a silly foul.
Jason Wingate at the point. Bounce pass to Minor. They've got the 2 point guards on the floor along with Flores. Under 2 minutes to go in the first half. This is Johnson. Nice job by Karen to step out defensively. And that pressure helped to force a deflection that goes out of bounds. And we have ourselves a timeout. 1:48 to go on the clock. Niagara with a 1-point lead over the top-seeded Jaspers here on the MAAC Television Network.
I would encourage anyone to come to Niagara.
It was extremely instrumental in my success.
Niagara certainly gave me the opportunity.
It was the most beautiful campus I've ever seen.
I love the faculty.
They're very concerned about your future.
It's a great place to spend 4 years.
I love Niagara. They definitely took care of me. When I came and I had my audition, I know they saw something in me. They wanted to, mold it, craft it. As much as you want to succeed, they want you to succeed. You never stop learning. Love it.
This game is brought to you in part by Coach USA, the best way to see New York City. By the New York Lottery. New York Lotto gives you 2 games for $1, so play today. Hey, you never know. I love New York. Show your love for New York State. And by Continental Airlines. Work hard, fly right. Well, you never know who's going to show up at the MAAC tournament here in Trenton, New Jersey. In the middle of your screen, that is former NBA center Manute Bol. And he has been following the Fairfield Stags this season and last season because of his Sudanese countrymen, Dengai and Ajo Deng, 2 stars for the Stags, and they'll be coming up against Siena in our 2nd semifinal tonight. Meanwhile, Flores for 2.
And how in the world does he get that shot off? The double team, he gets off the floor, somehow goes through the contact, able to finish.
14 points already for the conference top scorer. Manhattan back on top, 30-29. Holmes knocked it away. Wingate dove and got tied up, and it'll be Manhattan ball, the possession arrow, facing toward the Jaspers.
Well, the quickness defensively of Dave Holmes to dive into the low post and knock the basketball away.
Bobby Gonzalez wanted the timeout with 1:14 on the clock here in the first half. Well, fans, the 2003 MAAC Hockey League Championship hits the ice later this month at West Point. All session passes are affordably priced at $12 apiece. March 21st and 23rd at Army's Tate Rink For ticket information, call 877-TIX-ARMY. Here we're at the MAAC Basketball Championship semifinal Sunday in Trenton, New Jersey. And the Manhattan Jaspers have had lots of fans come down from the Bronx and the metropolitan area. And once again, the Lady Jays of Manhattan won the women's championship this afternoon. Siobhan Kilkenny on the left was the tournament MVP, and indeed they are #1.
Not letting that trophy out of their sights either, huh?
No.
They got a nice chair for it. I wonder if they have a ticket for that trophy.
Now they will find out next weekend where and who they will play in the first round of the NCAA tournament. 30-29, Manhattan with the lead, under a minute to go. Niagara with the ball.
Again, it's Reeves inside, just shaping up so big and strong. He's been able to post up on the low blocks. His teammates punching it into him, and why not?
Third foul on Jason Benton, so Reeves will shoot 2.
So 3 for Benton, 3 for Johnson. Fouls mounting up because Mook Reeves just doing a great job of establishing position inside.
So Benton goes out.
Darnell Tyler, who has not seen a whole lot of time here after being ineligible for the first semester, gets some minutes here in tournament time.
Reeves now with 8 points after hitting a couple from the free throw line, and Niagara has the lead once again, 31-30, 45 seconds left in the half. Wingate, Minor, Flores, Tyler, and Holmes out there for the Jaspers in their white uniforms.
We talked about the 3 fouls on the 2 big guys. Also kind of ball checking. His lack of presence on the floor really hurts against the zone.
Darden got a hand on the pass, a between the legs pass back from Reeves to Brooks, and the Purple Eagles will hold for 1. And a timeout called by Joe Mihalik. The Niagara coach wants to set up a play.
Well, the use it or lose it timeout. You can't carry it into the second half, so Joe Mihalik will have an opportunity to set his offense here at the half court for the last shot of the first half.
Yesterday, Joe Mihalik's club beat Iona 81-75 in the quarterfinals. And trying to beat Manhattan for the first time this season, the Jaspers beat the Purple Eagles in the regular season 88-71 and 71-65. Well, we've been talking about Luis Flores. Let's talk about him a little bit more. The Pepsi Player of the Year, and it's no wonder why. First in the league in scoring, second in free throws, second in steals. He was also 13th in assists, 18th in rebounding, 8th in three-point shooting accuracy. No wonder he was the Pepsi Player of the Year. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi.
A runaway winner, 7-time winner of the Player of the Week during the year. He was so consistent, dominant from the start of the season right on through. Once again, putting up good numbers. Niagara knows about good numbers for him, huh? How about 38, a Dratty Gymnasium record the first time these two teams met. Followed it up with 25 out in Western New York.
Well, a lot of people are unable to live up to the hype. He was the preseason Player of the Year, but he certainly was able to live up to it. Under 10 seconds to go. Brooks, 5 seconds. Back to Darden. 4, 3. Reeves with 2. Puts it up off the glass, too strong. And that is the end of the first half. A very tightly played first 20 minutes. And heading into the locker room, it's the 4th-seeded Niagara Purple Eagles with a 1-point lead over the top-seeded Manhattan Jaspers. 31-30 our score. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this.
From the floor of the New York Stock Exchange to the top of the Empire State Building, New York City is celebrating 150 years of Manhattan College.
It's a college in the city, a college in the country.
It's big.
It's small.
It's modern.
Traditional.
It's Frisbee on the quad.
It's big-time basketball at the Garden.
Manhattan College.
It's the best of all worlds.
No wonder New York City loves Manhattan. Come join the celebration of 150 years of Manhattan College.
Lots to cheer about if you are rooting for Niagara. The Purple Eagles have a 31-30 lead over the Jaspers, whose cheerleaders are keeping the faith. They have seen their Jaspers come from behind more than once this year, and with a 21-6 record, lots to root for the ladies in green and white. First half highlights, and we'll start with the biggest reason to root if you're a Jasper fan, Luis Flores.
Flores getting it done in transition, and he also bails out his teammates whenever he needs to. Right here late in the shot clock, the deep three, getting it done. On the other side for Niagara, it was all inside. Mendez getting it done on the post-up, and Cruz showing good patience on the break, waiting for his teammate. Cruz hot throughout that first half.
And speaking of that, let's check out who's hot and who's not. Mendez, 10 points, including, as you see, 6 for 6 from the line. Meanwhile, Mr. Darden 0 for 8 from the floor.
On the other hand, it's Luis Flores who's hot with 14 points, and none of his teammates hot. No other Jasper with more than 4 points.
Meanwhile, we should point out that Kenny Minor, the starting point guard for the Jaspers, even though he's 0 for 2 shooting, has only 1 point, 5 assists, and 3 steals in his 14 minutes.
Yeah, he was a pest out there defensively. His quickness got them going.
In spite of all that, and in spite of the numbers posted by Flores, the Jaspers will have to come from behind if they are to move on to the MAAC Finals.
And the other key stat, 3 guys with 3 fouls for Manhattan. We talked about the inside presence of Niagara. Well, that's forced fouls by Jared Johnson. He's got 3. Jason Bennett's got 3. And Konovalchik, their best outside shooter, the guy that can stretch out the zone, he sat for much of the first half as well with 3.
And keep your eye on Dave Holmes, who has 2, and for Niagara, Alvin Cruz and Juan Mendez both have 2. There's Mendez getting his first rebound of the second half. He's now got 8, but then they turn it over. The Jaspers have Minor streaking to the basket, blocked and fouled from behind by Tramel Darden.
Well, the second half starts just like the first half did, huh? You've got offensive rebounding by Niagara. They were all over the glass in the first half. And the defensive quickness of Kenny Minor. Right here, Darden continues to struggle, but credit Minor, able to strip the basketball, and here comes Darden. Good hustle. He turned the basketball over. He wanted to make sure the little guy didn't get an easy 2.
Foul number 2 on Tramel Darden, and steal number 4 for Kenny Minor. So again, as we said, the numbers on the screen not terribly impressive, but it's the other numbers, the assists and the steals, that have really made a difference for Manhattan.
Well, he's been disruptive defensively, getting out. Manhattan wants to make it a full court game, and he's a guy that can get that done on the defensive end.
The freshman from Baltimore hits 1 out of 2 from the line. We're tied 31 apiece, just underway here in the second half. Darden. Pass to Reeves near midcourt. Pressure broken. Mathis. He was the one who initiated the contact, and he's the one who gets the foul call. Mathis picks up the personal.
David Holmes just holding his ground. Mathis trying to be aggressive, but over penetrates. Look at Reeves, though. The big guy handling the basketball, making things happen to break the press. Bad decision, though, at the back end. Mathis too aggressive.
His first foul, and the second against Niagara. Holmes, meanwhile, gets his own miss. Reeves blocked it, and the possession arrow favors the Jaspers. It'll stay at this end.
We've seen Reeves hold his ground and keep his hands up. The movable object inside.
And that's something that's easier said than done. We hear coaches and announcers say just hold your ground and stand straight up all the time, and rarely do you see a player consistently be able to do just that. Holmes with the jumper.
Well, he's got to give him some scoring. Somebody else has to step up for the Jaspers and become that second scorer. You know you're going to get it from Flores, but they need somebody else.
Manhattan has retaken the lead, and off the made basket, the pressure, but it's broken. Just over a minute gone. Shovel pass by Mendez, taken away by Konovalchik. Flores brings it back out to Minor, out there with Holmes, Benton, and Konovalchik. That's 3 for the freshman out of New Hampshire.
And that's why they need him on the floor. Terrific three-point shooter at over 38% on the season. He's got good size to shoot over top the zone D at 6'5".
And this is Niagara's 4th possession of the half, and the first time they haven't turned it over. Instead, it's a nice-looking jump shot by James Mathis.
And again, Mathis aggressive on the back end of the zone press. This time, though, he was able to pull up instead of crashing through for the charge.
Flores trying to attack from the corner, but he traveled.
A good call by the officials. Clearly moved his pivot foot.
And so it'll be Niagara basketball in the corner. Bobby Gonzalez here at Sovereign Bank Arena doesn't have quite as much room to roam on the sidelines as he does at home.
A little tight over there.
Yeah,
huh?
Dratty Gymnasium has plenty of Gonzalez, we call it Gonzo room, I guess. Not quite as much here in Trenton.
He is active on the bench, no question about that. Demonstrative. He's up and active all game long. He and Timmy O'Toole really wear out the sidelines.
He is chewing off the ear of Jim Haney at the moment. David Brooks back in.
Problem is, like most good officials, I'm sure Jim's deaf in that ear.
If he wasn't before the conversation, he is now. Ball knocked out of bounds. Niagara will keep possession. 17 minutes, 58 seconds to go second half, and there is Gonzo, the coach of the year in 2002-2003. Alvin Cruz. Now Brooks, they finally get it into Reeves, and we've got a whistle and a foul against Benton. And that's his fourth.
Benton playing behind defensively against Reeves. Sometimes you have no choice because Reeves shapes up and forces you to play from behind. He'll now have to go back to the bench where he spent most of the end of the first half with the 3 fouls. Now make it 4.
And Jared Johnson comes back in. He too in a bit of foul trouble with 3. Darden misses again. He's yet to connect from the field. Long rebound to Flores, and he floats to the basket for 2.
Able to slide by. Again, his ability to get around defenders, his balance. He changes shots in midair.
He is on pace to break Larry Lembo's Manhattan College record for highest scoring average in a season in Jasper's history. If he keeps his current pace at nearly 25 points per game, that's another record he will have. Alvin Cruz with a floater of his own, 8 for the sophomore point guard.
Manhattan puts so much pressure out on the basketball, you're going to have to put the ball to the floor and make them pay.
Manhattan's 5-point lead cut back down to 3, 3 minutes into the second half. Flores to the right baseline. Little leaner, short. Reeves with a rebound, and he cleared out with an elbow. And down in a heap and holding his face is Dave Holmes, and that offensive foul against Reeves is his second.
Reeves with the big-time rebound, but then as he tried to swing and outlet the basketball, his elbows were out. And Court Holmes will take a look right here. The leaner by Flores doesn't go. Big-time rebound here, but as he swings it through, you see he clearly gets a hold of Holmes. Good piece of officiating by Haney. Holmes is still down.
That was a vicious shot to the chops. And you know what? I'm amazed that we don't see solid contact like that more often, because quite often you see somebody trying to create space, protect the basketball, and they throw an elbow. And Holmes fortunately is up, but still very clearly woozy as he heads back to the bench. And so while Holmes is tended to and tries to clear the cobwebs from his head, Bobby Gonzalez will have to have Justin Jaquette check into the game. So Konovelchik, Jaquette, Flores, Johnson, and Jason Wingate on the floor.
That's a tough shot to take from anybody, but with Reeves' strength and size, even that much tougher.
16:45 to go second half. 3-point lead for Manhattan. The Jaspers with the ball. Johnson on Reeves. And the rebound comes to David Brooks. Alvin Cruz burst to speed, but then pulls it back out. Jaquette cut him off. Brooks short on the 3. Konovelchik had his outlet deflected, but Manhattan still with possession. Bodies go flying. And all the while, Luis Flores, the steadfast one, just puts up 2 more points.
He's so steady, even out in the open floor. He never looks flustered. He's always under control.
18 points for Luis Flores out of Norman Thomas High School.
He's so efficient. I mean, he just gets things done.
Mendez answers right back. He has a dozen.
Talk about efficient. Both these guys quietly go about things out on the floor. Neither one of them shows it very much emotion. They just let their scoring and play speak for themselves.
Wingate eyes the 2-3 zone and gives to Flores, who has his shot blocked by Mendez out of bounds. Manhattan will have possession of the basketball when we come back to Sovereign Bank Arena in Trenton. Manhattan has taken a 3-point lead over Niagara here on the MAAC Television Network. Hey, let's hit the links. Why not? The 2003 Golf Championship back at Disney's Wide World of Sports Complex, April 25th through the 27th at the Magnolia Golf Course down in Orlando, Florida. Contact Anthony Travel at 800-736-6377 or go online to anthonytravel.com.
What do you think? We'll talk to Rich Enser, see if they'll send us down.
Oh, you have
play-by-play?
You haven't gotten your invite yet, Rob?
Oh, I'm go. All right. There you go. I'll tag along. You need a stat guy?
No, actually, we got our man already.
I'll get Dean out of here. I'll take that stat assignment.
Well, back into the game, Dave Holmes, and he went right at James Reeves. That time he came away without an elbow to the chops, but he was tied up. Nice job by Reeves to once again stand his ground. Clean hand-on ball contact, and so it's Niagara basketball. 15-16 left to go in the second half. Darden trying to break out of his slump. Still can't do it. Flores with the rebound. Manhattan by 3. Right side, Wingate. Oh. Nice shot, but he missed it. How he was able to knife through the Niagara defense, I don't know. And the timeout awarded to the Purple Eagles, who will keep possession.
Mook Reeves all over the place. He's done everything for the Purple Eagles. Bobby Gonzalez once again can't believe it.
The official, John Cal, just walks away. Neither coach happy. Well, the MAAC Rookie of the Year is brought to you by HSBC. HSBC, the world's local bank. Kedron Kiki Clark, who averaged 24.5 points per game, the top scoring freshman in the nation, wins the award on the men's side. And Katie Shirley from Loyola College, who averaged nearly 9 points per game for the Greyhounds, wins it on the ladies' side. MAAC Rookies of the Year brought to you by HSBC, the world's local bank.
And this is a terrific freshman class in the MAAC Conference, obviously keyed by Kiki Clark, a guy who's gotten it done all season long, right from the get-go. Tagged back-to-back 40-point games in his first 5 times out.
And although Kiki struggled a bit yesterday, he still got his points. And again, with all the defensive pressure heaped upon him by the opposition, he's still able to get his points, and typically they're not forced.
No question about it. A couple good freshmen here from Manhattan. Mike Konovalchik on the all-rookie team, and we'll get a good look at probably the second best performer out of the freshmen in the conference in our next game. Michael Haddix with a terrific first year, getting it done inside. That'll be coming up next. Siena against Fairfield, two of the best defensive teams in the MAAC. Points will be hard to come by.
And how can those two mortal enemies be sitting so close to each other in the stands? Those guys are going to be hammering each other in about an hour, and sitting there comfortably checking out this first semifinal. Over 5 minutes into the second half. 40-37, Manhattan with a lead, Niagara with possession. Tremel Darden passes away. He is 0 for 9 so far tonight. Mendez against the double team, elevates over it and connects.
Well, the strength and athletic ability. Able to jump over top. Nice jump hook for the finish.
Konovalchik is fouled along the sideline. That's the third foul against Cruz. And the fourth against Niagara. Justin Duquette replaces Wingate. There is Cruz, who picks up the foul. Dave Holmes. Nice help defense by Brooks to pick up that assignment. Shot clock at 20. Flores gets it back from Johnson for 3. Around the rim and out. Holmes with the offensive rebound. Puts it on the floor. Gets it blocked out of bounds by Reeves. And it'll still be Manhattan ball.
Looked like Reeves got away with one that time. He had been straight up the last couple possessions. Looked like he was leaning over.
Flores drives by Mendez. He elevates but misses. Darden with a rebound.
Boy, did he elevate. Over top the defense. Those are shots most guys can't get off.
Truly a jump shot.
Yep. over top of people.
Juan Mendez. Niagara was back in front, 41-40.
Once again, a premier finisher inside. You get him the ball, and he's going to score it.
And a timeout called by Bobby Gonzalez and the Manhattan Jaspers. Down a point as they were at halftime.
Mendez second in the conference in field goal percentage this year after leading the MAAC last year as a freshman. Take a look. He does a good job moving without the basketball. Nice spin, gets the defense on his back. Jump hook for the finish. The bench was looking for the and one, but he fights through contact because he's so strong. Great hands.
Niagara on an 8-2 run over the last 3:20, and Mendez now with 16 points and 8 rebounds. A sophomore forward who calls Montreal home. Played his high school ball in Florida. Meanwhile, his running mate inside, James Reeves, already has 10 rebounds to go along with his 8 points.
You talk about a 1-2 punch inside. No pun intended with the one elbow coming, but those two guys clearly dominating the game in the paint as they did against Iona.
Konovalchik with the switch, and the Jaspers reclaim the lead, 43-41.
And that's his importance to this team, especially against the zone from Niagara. They need him to be able to stretch it out with the 3-ball.
And that was the play coming out of the timeout. Meanwhile, Tremel Darden gets his first field goal of the game. He is now 1 for 11.
Knocks down the shot and then a big sigh of relief. Still being aggressive, though, at the back end of the pressure defense. You've got to make them pay for the press.
Manhattan 43, Niagara 43. Holmes steps back from the baseline. The high rebound goes out of bounds. Manhattan basketball. Johnson, Darden, and Mendez were fighting for possession. And the Jaspers come away with it. Kenny Minor triggers from the baseline. Out to Konovalchik. Off the up fake. He is tripped by Darden, who picks up the personal, his third.
Well, when you show the basketball and you're as good a shooter as Konovalchik is, good things happen. If you can't shoot, you show the basketball, nobody worries about you. You knock down a couple threes, and once again, it will open things up inside because the zone will have to stretch.
Out. Couldn't seem to find anybody. It looked like Johnson was open back near midcourt, and almost looked like Flores wasn't being so tightly guarded that you needed to use a timeout, but that's what the Jaspers do, and so Bobby Gonzalez and Joe Mihalik talk things over.
And you got to be careful about wasting timeouts early in the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating the Manhattan.
You hear the cheer go up in the crowd for the Manhattan Lady Jaspers, who are being recognized by the fans here in attendance, holding up the trophy right behind us here at our broadcast location. Kilkenny, the tournament MVP, and she helped to hold up the trophy, and congratulations to the Lady Jays as they pick up the hardware.
And that roar gave you an idea about how many people made the trip down from Riverdale. A lot of green in the stands, not just the green of the seats, but the green of the Jaspers.
Technical foul on Bobby Gonzalez. Jim Haney heard the magic word or something.
So I guess that wasn't a deaf ear, huh? Well, he's been chewing it off all game long, and there comes a point in time where the officials just say enough is enough. Gonzo's got to be careful right now, giving away a couple points potentially at the foul line.
And, you know, Gonzo looked like he had some pretty good hops, because with whatever he said, he got off the floor pretty well. But, you know, he appeared to get it out of his system. The technical happened, and he just immediately turned, called his team over. And Brooks shoots up an air ball.
Well, you hardly ever see that, huh? Not just an air ball on the foul shot, but the guy you send to the line to take the technical.
1 out of 2 for the 73% foul shooter, David Brooks. Gonzalez still pleading his case, but not to the official that just teed him up. Now talking to John Cale. But again, Gonzalez seemed to get it out of his system. and go right back to work as soon as the technical was called. 44-43, Niagara back on top. Brooks has it knocked away by Flores. Minor, Konovalchik, and Cruz gets the foul. And that is 4 on the Niagara point guard.
A broken play out in transition. Manhattan coming off the technical from Gonzo. Seem to have a little bit more life. Sometimes coaches will try to take one to fire up their team. When Bobby Gonzalez's team responds, Alvin Cruz will have to go to the bench with those 4 fouls.
He sits down with 8 points. And Rossi Caron, the senior backup point guard who played such a key role in yesterday's game in this same situation when Cruz had foul trouble, is on the floor. Konovalchik had a shot blocked by Mendez.
Mendez coming out deep out of that zone defense, covering a lot of ground.
That's the second time we've seen him do that. The first time on Flores, way out around the perimeter.
He's very quick for his size.
20 seconds on the shot clock, 12 minutes to go here in the second half. Mendez, high-low. Johnson got a piece on the pass. It went out of bounds, and it'll be Niagara ball, but Kenny Minor went down hard, and you can see with the jersey pulled up over his face, he is in some pain. We'll check him out when we come back. Minor's back to his feet, but we have ourselves a break here at Sovereign Bank Arena. A lot of bodies flying. The winner of this one goes to the MAAC Finals here on the MAAC Television Network. Niagara with a 1-point lead over Manhattan midway through the second half. This copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
Oh, no, please.
Does he not know I'm trying to do the disclaimer?
Talk about distractions.
Well, you wouldn't want to reproduce that right there. But you may not retransmit that, reproduce it, or rebroadcast it without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC properties and your parents' consent. You wouldn't want to do that. It's a division of Host Communications Incorporated. Darden drops it off for Mendez for 2.
Well, Darden struggling offensively, so he's not going to take the shot. Instead, finds Mendez.
18 points for the sophomore forward. He and Flores both with 18.
Press of Niagara has been very successful tonight. It's done what it was designed to do. Slow Manhattan down, not allow it to become a full court game.
Konovalchik misses. Holmes right back up and in.
Able to gather and go right at Mook Reeves.
8 for Holmes, who has come back nicely from that vicious elbow to the chops. And it's back to a 1-point Niagara lead. Rossi Caron on the floor because Niagara's starting point guard, Alvin Cruz, out with 4 fouls.
And Caron, a different type of player at the point. He can run the team, but he's not going to give you that same scoring presence you get from Cruz.
Darden dribbled it off his foot. Flores picks up the basketball.
Not much going right tonight for Darden.
And again, in spite of that, Niagara still with a 1-point lead.
That's because their front court duo of Mendez and Reeves getting everything done inside.
Well-designed play gets Holmes an easy basket off the feed from Johnson. Long pass for Darden. He has to track it down, and the Jaspers able to track him down.
And they haven't been able to throw over top of the full court pressure and get Darden going to the basket. He's had to pull up. Great recovery out of the press by Manhattan.
Mendez from 19 feet. Johnson the rebound. He shovels off to Wingate. Flores isolated on Caron. Konovalchik again misses. Mendez with the rebound. Just past the midpoint of the second half. Rossi Caron at the point, a 5'10" senior out of Port Arthur, Texas. Reeves high. Mendez low. He lost his balance on the way down, and he and Holmes wind up tied up in the alternating possession arrow. Points the other way.
And Doug, we saw him yesterday make a couple great catches. He's a good athlete. He gets off the floor, but how about those hands? Anytime the basketball's in his vicinity, he goes up and snatches it away from people.
Although on one of those plays yesterday, Rob, he came down a little bit lame, and he goes up, and that was actually a dangerous spot as well. He goes up and seemingly without any care for the balance that he may have or may not have. Fortunately able to come down without hurting himself that time. Johnson swings to the right side for Wingate. Here's Jason Benton. Mishandles. Still trying to find his way to the basket. Instead, he gets tied up and turn it back the other way.
Possession arrow getting a workout, huh? Defensive pressure. Both teams able to get hands on the basketball without fouling.
47-46. Manhattan with the lead. Niagara with the ball.
Barely. Mathis has to make a good catch and walk the tightrope to keep it in bounds.
Mathis and Brooks on the wings. Karen at the point. Mendez and Reeves work inside. They're interchangeable high post, low post. Tough pass to Handel. And he was out of bounds. Nice pressure by Konovelchik to force the turnover.
Joe Mihalik talking to Rossi Karen. Reverse the basketball. We had the high-low. Instead, trying to force it onto the wing.
Manhattan with the ball and a 1-point lead. Blocking foul on the baseline. Mook Reeves. That's his third. And as a team against the Niagara Purple Eagles, that's number 7. So we've got a 1-and-1 for Luis Flores, who is checking out his left leg just a bit with that contact. Whether he knocked knees or took a knee to the thigh, I'm not sure, but he appears to be all right.
Trying to walk it off, stretch it out. Now the chance to walk back to the line where he gets so much done.
Marist head coach Dave McGarity quoted as saying, Luis Flores is the best player in the MAAC since Lionel Simmons graduated in 1990.
Joe Mihalik, an assistant coach to Speedy Morris on those great MAAC teams that LaSalle had. Yep. Speedy Morris won the Philadelphia Catholic League championship last night as St. Joe's Prep with a win over Cardinal Doherty.
Congratulations to Speedy.
Great guys, terrific coach, longtime coach at Roman Catholic, back in the high school ranks at St. Joe's Prep.
And boy, did he have a lot of talent when LaSalle was a big-time member of the MAAC.
Oh, Simmons was so good, you forget about all those other guys, Doug Overton and Tim Legler. The list goes on. They had some great teams.
Randy Woods also was in the NBA for 2 or 3 years. Nice. All prolific scorers.
Yep. Guys like Jack Hurd, who had a terrific career as well. And Dart now using his athletic ability to get a score, and he comes down hobbling.
Landed funny on the leg, and you can see him hobbling as play continues. Holmes right to the basket, but short. And Darden, well, I guess he feels all right. Able to get that rebound. Play continues. We're tied at 48 apiece. 8 minutes to play.
See Reeves shaping up inside. He had Holmes on his back. Still does.
Tough pass. And Flores has got it for the Jaspers. Quick burst of speed. Again, avoids the contact. Lays it in. Flores now with 21.
Oh, drive-by, huh? He gets himself into the lane, running and able to slide by the defense to avoid the contact.
The silky smooth junior, Konovelchik, picks up his 4th.
Bobby Gonzalez talking to Konovalchik. Get out of the way. You're too important to this team. We need your three-point shooting. Don't pick up silly fouls in the press.
We have a timeout. We'll take a break. 7:32 left in the second half. Dave Holmes and the Jaspers on top by 2 on the MAAC Television Network. As expected, this first semifinal from the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference postseason tournament has been a nail-biter. Manhattan with a 2-point lead, 50-48. It was Niagara which led at the intermission 31-30, and by all appearances, this one's going right down to the wire. Alvin Cruz back into the game, playing with 4 fouls at the point for Niagara. Several players in grave danger of fouling out. Cruz, one of them. Mendez with a rebound. We've got a whistle and a foul. They count the basket. And Mendez will go to the line to try and complete a three-point play.
A foul on Dave Holmes inside. Again, Mendez getting it done on the offensive glass, clearing out space, and then if you're going to foul him, you got to come harder than that. Holmes with the little reach in. That's not going to stop Mendez.
He's got 21 points on the three-point play. And the Purple Eagles back on top, 51-50.
And Cruz in this pressure defense has to make sure that he doesn't pick up a cheap foul on top of the basketball.
Seven minutes on the clock. Wingate looks to the right, goes back to the left for Justin Jaquette. Here's the three. It's good. The Niagara defense almost begging Wingate to be the one to shoot it, and he makes him pay.
Well, just 8 threes on the season, so a guy who doesn't step up and take that shot very often, but look confident there.
Ball loose. Here comes Jaquette. Cruz lets him go because he's got 4 fouls. And just like that, the Manhattan Jaspers open up a 4-point lead.
And senior to senior, play made by Jared Johnson going to the floor. Presence of mind to tap it ahead to Jaquette.
Jaquette's first points here tonight. 8 different Manhattan players now in the scoring column, and a 55-51 lead. 6:11 to go.
And this is why Cruz is back in the game to get things done in half court.
Jaquette whistled for the reach-in foul. That's his first, and a 6-team foul against the Jaspers.
And Manhattan has had no answer all night long to the high-low. Mendez and Reeves doing such a good job playing off each other. And the key to the high-low is both guys can pass the basketball and can also knock down shots facing up.
Has 12 rebounds to go along with those 8 points. And the junior forward from Rochester hits the first.
Always so important for your post players to have perimeter skills. If you can't handle and pass it and can't shoot it, then nobody guards you out at the high post, and you don't have room and space to make the dump-in pass.
Double-double for Mook Reeves now. 10 points, 12 rebounds. And Mendez, 21 points, 10 rebounds. So a couple of double-doubles. A double-double-double.
Getting it done inside. Dominating the paint as they have all season long.
Holmes, wide open from the elbow. He hits.
Wide open because he was able to find the soft spot of the zone right at the high post.
57-53, and go figure here, Rob. In the first half, Niagara shot only 28%, yet led by 1 at the intermission. Since the break, 62% from the floor, yet they now trail by 4.
That's because they only have 1 offensive rebound here in the second half. 13 in the first half. Mendez with the 1 putback. They've got to get back after it on the offensive boards.
Shot clock at 10. Brooks fouled by Flores, and that's just his first. And the 7th on Manhattan, but a 2-shot foul nonetheless.
And the foul bails him out. Brooks trying to make something happen as the shot clock was winding down. There the double-double.
Double. That's Mook Reeves. And there is Mr. Mendez, who is just a fabulous talent. So Brooks at the line, sophomore from Philadelphia, out of Abington High School. That's 7 points now for the 6'3", 200-pounder. Brooks had 15 points in the Iona quarterfinal victory yesterday.
We talked so much about his instant offense off the bench and his shooting ability. Got a lane violation as Darden. That's the type of night it's been for Tramel Darden. Stepping inside the 3-point line, inside the foul lane circle.
You just don't see that very often, but he clearly stepped inside, and he looked at John Kell, the official, said, I was just trying to talk to him, but you can't do that.
Nope, Brooks had the ball in his hands. He tried to come in and tell him something. Instead, you wipe off a point.
Jared Johnson missed the tip. Up there with the right hand, though, Luis Flores, the long arm of the law. 23 points now for Flores.
I like that one. Long arm of the law.
Literally and figuratively. Gives the Jaspers a 5-point lead.
He's the guy.
Mendez has it knocked away by Holmes. Now into Reeves, the double team, and nice job by Flores to get in and tie up Reeves, and so the Jaspers get the ball on the alternate possession arrow.
Well, you want your guards to double down and try and dig it out of the post. That time, Flores able to corral the basketball long enough to force a tie-up.
They have given credit to Justin Jaquette on that last basket, so take it away from Flores. He's back to 21, and Jaquette now with 4.
So Jaquette was the sheriff, huh?
4:15 on the clock. Holmes from the high post had another nice look. Couldn't get 2 in a row, though. Brooks with a rebound.
Well, they found that soft spot right at the elbow.
Niagara down by 5 with 4 minutes to play. Mendez backing down, acting Holmes. He didn't get the Academy Award, and the layup was good.
Nice timeout by Joe Mihalik right now. His team struggling a bit offensively. Remember, he has no depth, so you've got to use timeouts to try and get your team a little bit of a rest. Manhattan, they had plenty of rest the last couple days, not playing in the quarterfinals. So good timeout right there to set things up and also give his team some rest by Joe Mihalik.
And Rob, I'm going to go back to the long arm of the law being Luis Flores. We've got it on tape to once again see that it was not Jaquette. There's Johnson missing, and clearly it's Luis Flores with the 2.
But see Jaquette right there pumping his fist.
He knows how to steal a point.
A lot of times you see guys signal to the scorer. He was just fired up that his teammate was able to get the tip.
Well, that's the second time in the last 2 weeks that we've done a television game where Flores has lost a basket.
Yep. But that's the way he is. He doesn't worry about that. He's worried about his team winning the basketball game. He goes about his business and allows his play, his spectacular play at times, to speak for itself.
Bobby Gonzalez calls a timeout with 20 seconds on the shot clock.
And that timeout is to get a sub into the game. You're going against the zone defense. Bring Konovalchik back into the game for his three-point shooting ability.
And about 10 minutes ago, out of a timeout, Bobby Gonzalez set up a play for Konovalchik. They swung the ball to the left side of the perimeter. He was wide open and shot ready and knocked down the 3. The second semifinal for the 2003 EUS Communications MAAC tournament coming up after this one. The second-seeded Stags of Fairfield against the third-seeded Saints of Siena. You talk about the fans. I was going to say about the green fans, but we've got green fans from Manhattan and Siena, but the red and the black are the Fairfield Stags down from Connecticut. And we've got the pep band. Those are some of the members of the pep band with their faces painted. How do you play the trumpet or any brass instrument with paint all the way around your lips?
It's got to be tough. Take a look. Manhattan with just 1 timeout left. They've had to waste a couple early on. And I think the last 2 timeouts clearly helped Niagara. They've got a TV timeout coming as well. An opportunity to rest and regather their legs.
Rebounding foul against Manhattan. It is Dave Holmes who picks up the personal. That's his 4th.
Now Darden will go to the line for a 1-and-1. At least this time he doesn't have to worry about stepping inside that line to go talk to anybody unless he's going to talk to himself. He might want to talk to himself. It's been a tough night for the talented junior. He has struggled from the field.
Although there is another line he could violate here.
Yep, don't step over that one.
Darden, a 72% foul shooter. Named to the second team all-conference squad. Averaged 17.6 points per game. 5th best in the conference. But clearly this is not one that will go down into the best games list for Tremel Darden. But he hits a couple of big free throws, and we have ourselves a timeout. Once again, a 1-point game. 3:22 on the clock. 59-58 Manhattan clinging to that 1-point advantage on the MAAC television network. This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. By GHI, healthcare coverage from A to Z. HSBC, the world's local bank. And by FYE for your entertainment, music, movies, games, and more. Manhattan 59, Niagara 58. The survivor of this semifinal moves on to the MAAC championship game tomorrow night, 7 o'clock here in Trenton, and it'll be live on ESPN. And Luis Flores, the marquee player in the league, hoping to make it that far.
And he's been quiet lately. He's got 21 points, but very early in the second half he had 18, so they need him to step up. This is the time of the game where your stars need to come up and make big plays.
Well, as long as the official score keeps giving credit where credit is due, he might get some more points. 3:10 to go. Wingate, Konovalchik, Flores, Johnson, and Holmes on the floor for Manhattan.
And one of the reasons he's been quiet, Mendez coming out of that zone defense, an imposing figure as he runs out at you.
Both Mendez and Darden on that side of the zone, both long and quick. There's Flores to the baseline and blocked, but a foul called against Mendez, who can't believe it. Number 43 picks up his third foul for the Purple Eagles.
Well, he talked about the big guys coming out to challenge on the perimeter. Holmes with the little bump gets Mendez off balance, and by the time Mendez recovers back out to him, reaches out, picks up the foul.
And so Flores heads to the line, where he is only 4 of 6 tonight.
He dips that shoulder and bumps you off as well as anybody without picking up the foul.
Yep. Justin Jaquette. Konovalchik goes out, so does Wingate. And Kenny Minor has also come back in for the Jaspers. Flores is a study in concentration. And he gets a pair.
And poise. He never gets flustered, steps to the line, knocks down 2 more.
Brooks guarded by Flores. Here's Mendez, double teamed by Johnson, faked the pass, turned to the baseline, and drew the foul.
Good ball skills by Mendez to make things happen. That's going to be the 5th foul on Dave Holmes. Mendez with the ball fake, with the basket, gets the defense off him for just a split second. Quick turn along the baseline to pick up the 5th foul for Holmes.
And so Dave Holmes is done for the night with 12 points, 5 rebounds. He played 27 minutes and was able to get up off the canvas after taking a shot to the chops on an elbow from James Reeves. So now it's in the hands of his teammates. Holmes will have to sit out the final 2:36.
Manhattan huddling up, as you always do coming down the stretch. Anytime there's a foul out, use the 30 seconds you have to make this up to get your team together.
Meanwhile, Juan Mendez, who continues to pile up the numbers, will shoot 2. 23 points, 10 rebounds, and he's perfect from the line so far tonight.
Some Luis Flores type numbers from the line. Now a perfect 8 for 8.
Mendez to draw the Purple Eagles back within 1, 61-60 Manhattan.
Before the game, if you said to Joe Mahalik, hey, we can keep the game in the 60s and you're going to be down by 1 with 2.5 left, he would certainly step up and take that. Right where they want to be are the Purple Eagles.
Minor at the point, Flores at the 2-guard spot. Jaquette in the left corner, 15 seconds on the shot clock. Jason Benton has come into the game to replace Holmes. Jared Johnson, the senior, backing down, and a big shot.
And with Holmes on the bench, Johnson has to step up and give him some more offense. Right on cue, he scores it inside.
Cruz finally gets it into Darden. Under 2 minutes to go. Darden and Jaquette had a little contact in the backcourt, but no call. Now Cruz starts the offense with 25 on the shot clock.
You know where Niagara's going to try and punch it inside to Mendez.
Brooks instead puts it up. It looked like Flores got a piece. Mendez missed the putback. Reeves, Benton on the floor fighting for the ball. And a jump ball. It'll stay at this end. Niagara keeps possession.
Talk about a struggle inside. been a long time since Joe Mihalik's team has had an offensive rebound, just 2 here in the second half, but a big one as Reeves comes from nowhere. Ball ends up in Mendez's hands. Looks like he's going to finish. One of the few times he doesn't. And then right there, Reeves, he's knocking people all over the place, just trying to make sure that his team has possession.
I get the sense that James Reeves likes that kind of play a little bit more than the rest of the guys on the floor.
It'd take a while to mop that thing up. 10 guys on the floor just about.
See the perspiration dripping off the chin of James Mook Reeves.
These guys for Niagara, they play a ton of minutes. No depth to speak of.
Brooks for 3. We are tied at 63 apiece. 1:28 to go.
Look at the smile on Joe Mihalik's face. As we said, the Purple Eagles right where they'd like to be. All tied up, 1.5 minutes left to go. Niagara, one of the best teams in the MAAC and executing in the half court. Here's some execution on the baseline out of bounds. And again, it's Reeves with the big screen. He has done so much for his team. It's Reeves' screen that gets a piece of Luis Flores, just enough for Brooks to knock down a huge 3.
And so Brooks, the sophomore from Philadelphia, now has reached his season average with 10 points. That's his second three-pointer of the night. He is 2 out of 4 from downtown.
He's got the only 2 threes for Niagara.
And we are all deadlocked at 63. This has been nip and tuck the entire way.
And another second chance point, even though it's not on an offensive rebound and putback. They saved the possession on the offensive rebound. Now 22 points for Niagara on second chance points. 22 of their 63.
Minor, Konovalchik, Flores, and this is Flores. Off the glass, no good. Rebound loose. Flores gets it back. 1:15 on the clock.
Every possession now is going to be in the half court. You got to step up and execute. For Manhattan, it's going to have to be against the zone.
Benton on the low post. Backing down on Brooks. Shovel pass Johnson. He puts it up and in.
An ill-advised double team inside against Benton. He wasn't going to do anything. The double team allowed Johnson the open lane.
Nice job to recognize and pick up the assist. Back on top, Manhattan by 2.
Oh, Minor nearly got the steal.
Instead, Cruz able to get it. A risky, dangerous pass. The Purple Eagles fortunate to still have the ball with 40 seconds to go. Mendez for the tie. Off the mark. Rebound. Brooks is fouled and will go to the line.
It took him a while to finally get going in the second half on the offensive glass, but the last 2 possessions, Niagara hanging in there because once again getting it done inside on the boards. And have to re-wrap up Brooks.
That's right. Now he has been working hard here in the second half.
And again, look who keeps it alive, though. These are things that don't show up in the stat sheet, but Mook Reeves. We saw the screen on the last play to free up Brooks from 3. That time, even though he doesn't get the rebound, he tips it to keep it alive.
And Brooks at only 6'3" in there mixing it up with the big fellas. He needs 2 to tie.
You hear the air ball chant going on from behind us. They remember the air ball on the technical foul shot, but looked good on that one.
That air ball was his only miss from the line. And we're tied at 65. 34.4 seconds to go. Manhattan will have 1 shot to win it.
Remember, they have 1 timeout left, and Bobby Gonzalez is going to take it to set things up.
All right, so the obvious answer to the question is Luis Flores.
Yeah, no question about that.
But how do you get it to him, and where do you want him to start that play?
And that's the big question. Remember, Niagara's been in zone for 39 and a half minutes of this game. They're going to stay in it, coming down the last possession. Let's see. For Joe Mihalik, it's been his best defense throughout the year. They've been forced to go zone to protect people, but as the year has worn on, they become very good at getting out and covering out on the perimeter out of the 3-2. I wonder if they'll switch it up. I wouldn't. because of the fact that Luis Flores can beat you too easily off the dribble. Force him to try and find a shot against the zone.
And you see Manhattan has 1 timeout remaining. Now, if you're Manhattan, there's also the possibility to use Flores as a decoy. You certainly have a lot of other options. Konovalchik has been hitting from the perimeter. Johnson's been very efficient inside. Keep in mind, Holmes is fouled out, so he is not an option.
And sometimes you design what you want, and the ball ends up in somebody else's hands, just like last night, where Dennis Young had to knock down the 3, only his 2nd on the season. So, you know, defensively, everybody knows that the ball is designed to go to Flores.
Right.
Now let's see if they can get it done.
That's right. With 27 seconds on the clock, Bobby Gonzalez has only so much control. If the play breaks down, it becomes a street game, and instincts take over, and you see Luis Flores with all eyes on him, expecting him to take the big shot, getting ready to perhaps decide the game. The winner of this one gets a spot in the MAAC Finals tomorrow night.
And remember, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, also a key.
Kenny Minor, Luis Flores, Mike Konovalchik on the perimeter, Johnson and Benton inside.
They stretch out of the zone defense to make sure they match. And it's Cruz who's got Flores on his side of the floor.
Here is Flores back to Minor. 7 seconds. Johnson to Flores. They trigger to the baseline. He lost it on the way up. Knocked out of bounds. It'll be Manhattan basketball with 2.4 seconds to go.
We showed Manhattan with the timeout. I'm not so sure if that was accurate, the last graphic. They do not have a timeout, so he can't set up the baseline out of bounds.
The lob to Johnson for the win. It's in and out, and we're going to overtime.
Well, if he had the timeout, he would have been able to diagram a better play than that. They got the great look. It just wouldn't go. Jared Johnson, the senior, able to go up top of everybody. A little smile from Joe Mihalik. His team doesn't have much depth, but they've got life. We're going to overtime. As we said, no timeout left, but you can't get a better shot than that. Over top, that was halfway down, but wouldn't stay there.
And I've got to say that that's got to be good coaching. That you didn't have a timeout, but you know what you're going to do on an inbounds play, even if you don't get the opportunity to reinforce it out of a timeout.
And Johnson, the guy that made the catch, but how about the pass from Minor? A freshman, not rattled, steps up and says, all right, coach, how about this for the out-of-bounds play, and put the basketball right where it needed to be.
And we had seen Johnson in the last 3 minutes hit a couple of nice soft shots in the paint from similar range, but he just couldn't make it 3 in a row. It rims out, and we head to overtime.
And talking to both these coaches this afternoon, they thought it was going to come down to the last possession or so. Bobby Gonzalez said, you know what? Both these teams have tough kids, city kids that have been through a ton of basketball games together. Both teams play hard. Both these guys do a terrific job. Both coaches get the most out of their teams. And guys really like to play and play with passion for their head coaches, and we've seen that throughout tonight.
And for those of you tuning in to watch the scheduled 8:15 tip of our second semifinal between Siena and Fairfield, stay tuned. Both sides in a holding pattern as we get a little bit of free March Madness.
You think Rich Enser's got to be happy with the new format for this tournament? I mean, he couldn't ask for anything more. We've had 5 games that we've broadcast down here in Trenton, and each and every one of those games coming to last TV timeout has been in doubt. This is our second overtime game. And remember, looked like Marist against Siena last night was heading to overtime, if not for the heroics of Prosper Karanga. So a terrific tournament throughout.
And there you see the regular season champs, the top seeds, trying to stay alive and reach the finals. Dave Holmes, their second leading scorer, is out. He has fouled out of the game, but still you've got Luis Flores, the league's leading scorer, with 23 points. Meanwhile, the big gun for Niagara, as expected, has been Juan Mendez. He's got 24, and he controls the tip, but it goes off the hands of Mook Reeves, and so it's Jasper's basketball to begin the OT. Johnson, Flores, now Minor goes out, and Wingate comes in to run the point with Konovalchik and Benton. The Purple Eagles have Reeves, Mendez, Brooks, Cruz, who's playing with 4 fouls, and Tremel Darden.
It seems like Manhattan's been in tough games all season long. 5 of their 6 losses have been by 4 or less, including the 2 losses in overtime.
Flores missed the 3. Johnson tried to tip it, but here come the Purple Eagles. Darden from the corner. He continues to be cold from the field here tonight. Flores with a rebound. He'll dribble up.
One-handed board.
And now Wingate will set it up. Pass to Benton, fouled by Brooks. Nice recognition by Wingate to find Benton all by himself underneath.
You look at Reeves right there, huffing and puffing. He's got to be tired, playing a ton of minutes out there. As Manhattan reset, the Purple Eagle defense did not.
Jason Benton, a 64% foul shooter out of New Haven, Connecticut. 6'6", 250 pounds. He has just a couple of points here tonight. Arguably his best game of the season came at the Holiday Festival against St. John's when the Jaspers beat the Johnnies back in December. He had 14 points in that one.
The first time since way back in 1956 that Manhattan was able to beat St. John's in back-to-back seasons.
Benton gets 1 out of 2 and gives his ball club a 1-point lead, 66-65. The Manhattan crowd wanted a traveling violation called against Cruz.
A lot of officials in the stands wearing green, huh?
No stripes, just green. Reach-in foul against Jason Wingate. That's his first. And already long over the limit are the Jaspers. So Alvin Cruz will step to the line. He's a 69% foul shooter. Individually for the Purple Eagles, Mendez has 24 points. Brooks with 12. Reeves has 10. Cruz 8. Darden with 6. For Manhattan, Flores has 23 points. Holmes fouled out with 12. Konovelchik has 9. Johnson with 8.
And Cruz has played a ton of minutes with those 4 fouls. Remember, Joe Mihalik brought him back into the game with a little over 7 minutes left to play coming out of the under 8 media timeout, and it's paid off.
Cruz missed the first. He'll get 1 more shot to retie the game. He can't do it. Benton with a rebound. So in overtime, neither side distinguishing itself from the line. Benton goes 1 for 2, and then the Purple Eagles follow up with an 0 for 2 by Cruz. 3:50 on the clock in overtime. Flores gets a screen against the zone. Back out to Wingate. Shot clock under 10. Flores from deep.
Straight on, and with Darden coming out to challenge. As you said, Doug, that was a deep 3. Nothing happening offensively against the zone, so he just stepped himself out far enough to be able to shoot over top.
Manhattan by 4. Flores with 26 points.
You could see his teammates looking to him to carry him.
Mendez had the rebound come right to him, and he goes right to the basket for 2.
Now, once again, the Purple Eagles getting it done on the offensive glass. That's bailed them out time and time again this evening.
Mendez with 26. That is 7 off his career high, and a timeout call.
And again, that's their last timeout. Bobby Gonzalez taking that timeout early to try and save the possession. I think you're better off saving the timeout. We've said it's been the offensive rebounding that has saved the Purple Eagles time and time again this evening. Once again, Mendez with a monster game. He doesn't just put up double-doubles of like 10 points and 10 rebounds. He can tag some numbers on you.
Well, his career high 33 points came against Drexel back in December. Named to the first team all-conference squad. 6th man of the year. Last year as a freshman when he made the rookie team. And this year on the all-star team. And certainly will be one of the favorites to win player of the year, if not next year, the following year. 3:02 left on the clock. And again, for those of you tuning in, looking for the Siena Fairfield semifinal, it is still to come. This is in overtime. Manhattan was trailing by a point at halftime, 31-30. And then with no more than a 5-point lead either way in the second half, they wound up in a 65-all tie. A lob pass at the buzzer gave Jared Johnson a clean look, but he couldn't get the ball to go down, and so we've got extra basketball.
Manhattan will have to execute in the half court, coming down the stretch without the benefit of a timeout.
Johnson's pass stolen by Mendez. Jermel Darden pulls up. Minor made him change the shot. Reeves gives it to Cruz. The Purple Eagles with possession.
And that's a killer. You take the timeout to save the possession, and then what do? You turn it right back over.
69-67. Manhattan with the lead, Niagara with the ball. Cruz blocked from behind by Benton. A big play by number 51.
An aggressive defense by Benton, despite the fact he's got the 4 fouls. Manhattan a little tentative the last couple possessions, attacking the zone defense. Teammates looking to Flores to bail him out.
And again, without Dave Holmes working that high-low with Johnson, the Jaspers have fewer options.
And Konovalchik, their 3-point specialist, on the bench.
Way off the mark for Flores that time. Cruz went out and contested the shot.
And the first times tonight that we've seen Manhattan tight at the offensive end. Look at that finish.
Mendez with 28. 69-69, a buck 40 to go.
Talk about a strong finish inside. He's so powerful getting himself to the rim.
Benton with a turnaround. And there's Mendez for another rebound. Out to Darden. He lost it out of bounds. Again, Kenny Minor, the pest. And Darden just fighting himself. It's been that kind of day.
Darden just 2 for 15 from the floor. A turnover in the open floor. I think he was thinking about throwing down a dunk. He finished yesterday's game off with the exclamation point. Instead, great hustle by Minor to get back. Even though he didn't come up with the hand on the basketball, his presence forced the turnover.
The last time the Manhattan Jaspers made the MAAC Finals, 1995. They're trying to get back here in 2003.
And right now, Cruz in a full denial, trying to keep the basketball out of Flores' hands.
Here is Flores. Tied up, gets it back. No whistle, he keeps going. Ball goes out of bounds. Niagara basketball.
Well, Flores just trying to make things happen. Bobby Gonzalez can't believe it, but I think that's a good no call. Flores is the guy who's running himself into contact. Watch right here. Reeves once again just holding his ground. And then Mendez doing more of the same. Oh, I take it back. Little contact right there, maybe. Those are calls he's gotten all season long. Doesn't get it that trip.
But then clearly Flores was the last to touch off of that last block shot. It was his right hand that did knock the ball out. And so the Purple Eagles will get the ball back with under a minute to go in overtime.
As we said, at the end of regulation, there was no question where the basketball was going for Manhattan. Not much question where Joe Mihalik wants the basketball either. They've had so much success in the high-low, and Manhattan has not had answers for it. Mendez has been a monster inside. He's up to 29 points to go along with his 12 rebounds.
We got him up to 13 now, and Mook Reeves, 10 points, 17 rebounds.
And Mook Reeves, a guy that dominated on the backboards in last year's MAAC tournament. He was all rookie, or all tournament team, excuse me, averaging nearly 16 rebounds a game, stepping it up and doing the same thing again here this year.
Yeah, his career high came in that tournament a year ago, 19 against Canisius. He is 2 off of that here this evening. 69-69. Cruz waiting for one of his teammates to come open. He finally finds Reeves. The pass, though, knocked away by Minor, out of bounds. And it looks like we're going to have a foul call.
And it's going to be against Cruz, and that will be his 5th. So both coaches taking timeouts to try and set things up. Neither team able to execute coming off the timeout. And again, Kenny Minor, the guy who made it happen with his quickness.
Now, he will not get credit for a steal on that, but he clearly was the reason for the turnover and then the foul out by his opposite number.
2 straight plays that his quickness is the story, the guy that makes it happen right there. Good hustle by Minor to get after it, and then Cruz giving up his body as well, but called for the push. So Minor made the play at that end, also made the play where it looked like Darden was going to have an uncontested open layup or dunk. The quickness of Minor paying dividends here in overtime.
So Cruz has fouled out with 8 points and 4 assists. He joins Dave Holmes on the disqualified list because of fouls. And so Kenny Minor at the line. He is a 63% foul shooter, and Minor tonight is just 2 for 4.
So his quickness will not be in the stat sheet, but he wants his foul shooting to be in the stat sheet.
He gives Manhattan a 1-point lead.
On the made foul shot, Manhattan will be back up in that full court pressure, and Niagara last few times has had trouble just inbounding the basketball. They were playing with fire for a while, and they finally got burnt on the last possession.
Minor swishes a pair and gives the Jaspers a 71-69 advantage. Inbound to David Brooks. He has shown the ability to handle the ball and bring it up himself, which he does here against Flores. Shot clock at 25, game clock at 36.
And remember, they've got to execute in the half court without their leader, without their point guard Cruz on the floor.
Rossi Karen is in. This is Darden with the leaner around the rim and out. Mendez somehow got the ball and somehow put it in to retie the game. Mendez now with 31 points.
And that somehow, once again on the offensive glass, that's how you get to double-doubles. Just keep getting it on the offensive board. Tags another rebound and another 2 points. Mendez with a monster game inside. Good looking shot right there by Darden. Just can't find it tonight. There's the strength. Able to snatch that basketball away and finish inside.
Well, the 31 points, now just 2 off his career high, and the 14 rebounds ties his career high. Mendez had 14 rebounds against Youngstown back in December. Also in December, he had 33 points against Drexel. So the sophomore who played his high school ball at Florida Air Academy, Juan Mendez, putting up some big-time numbers here in the 2003 EUS Communications MAAC basketball tournament.
Well, the 2 leaders, the 2 guys we highlighted right from the start, stepping it up big. 31 for Mendez, 26 for Flores, and once again, no mystery. That's where the Jaspers want the basketball. They've got an opportunity, had an opportunity to take the last shot at the end of regulation. Couldn't get the shot off, and then finally got it on the baseline out of bounds and missed it. They've got another opportunity here to finish it off on the last possession.
There is Mendez with the big-time numbers, but right now he and his Purple Eagle teammates are going to have to defend if they want to force a second overtime.
They stay up in the 2-2-1 pressure.
Jared Johnson inbounds to Minor, out there with Flores, Jaquette, and Jason Benton. Flores backs his way into the front court. 12 seconds left in overtime.
And Darden thought about doubling it to force it out of his hands.
6 seconds to go. Flores uses the high screen, picks his way to the paint. The runner blocked by Mendez, and we've got a second overtime.
Great defensive play by Juan Mendez. He's done so much at the offensive end. Bobby Gonzalez looking for goaltending. I don't think so. Great recovery by Mendez to bail it out, and we're going to a second overtime.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take another look at that game-saving block shot by Juan Mendez. Double overtime coming up on the MAAC Television Network. We are headed to double overtime. This is the first of our 2 semifinals, and on that last play, Juan Mendez credited with the clean block, but we're going to give you a couple of looks here.
And I take it back. I think this basketball's on its way down, but you know what? It's still a good no call by the officials. Even though I think, just by ever so slightly, that basketball's on its way down. Bobby Gonzalez looking for the goaltending, doesn't get it. But you know what? If that call's made, you think Joe Mihalik's happy?
That is a call that an official not can't make.
That's right.
But really to decide as much as what's on the line in this game at that point would be a extremely difficult call to make.
No question about it. So it may have been goaltending, and clearly on the slow motion it was, but not a bad call. And Darden coming out, even though he's struggling. Just his third bucket of the night, but they get the first score here in double overtime.
73-71 Niagara. Rossi Karen tries for the steal. Wingate gives off to Flores now. Keep in mind, at the end of regulation and at the end of the first overtime, Manhattan was the team with the ball, trying for the win and couldn't cash in. Now they are playing from behind, down 73-71.
And they got two terrific looks at the end of both regulation and the first overtime, but can they survive?
And Flores just dribbled himself into trouble and turned it over. The Purple Eagles with the ball, leading by 2.
Karen, the senior backup, he's going to be the guy that's going to have to run this team to execute here in the half court.
What a luxury for Niagara to have Karen after your starting point guard fouled out. Reeves got a shot blocked, and the Jaspers down 2 with the ball.
You got to figure that Manhattan, the team with the fresher legs, their advantage coming down the stretch. Niagara having played yesterday, and with the lack of depth, guys playing a ton of minutes.
Holmes fouled. Reeves picks it up. That's his 4th.
I'd venture to say that Mendez and Reeves have both played well over 40 minutes so far tonight, as probably has Darden. Either one of those three guys have been on the bench very much.
Yeah, Reeves and Darden for sure over. Flores for Manhattan. And Jared Johnson about to go over 40 minutes. He's at the line to shoot 2. Kotovelchik goes out. Jaquette comes back in.
Bubba Gonzalez trying to ride 2 of his seniors. Johnson on the line and gets Jaquette back in there as well, given that senior leadership.
Meanwhile, Minor replaces Wingate. Offense for defense. We have seen the kind of defense Kenny Minor plays for the Jaspers. We're tied at 73. 3:45 to go in double overtime. Jaquette nearly with the steal, but Niagara will keep the ball. And as Tremel Darden says to his teammate Rossi Karen, it's after a made basket. You can run the baseline. You don't have to make such a risky pass. Although Karen just said to Darden, I can't move.
Not now. Not once it's deflected out, but on a made basket, you're able to run along the baseline. Niagara's had trouble inbounding the basketball against that full court press.
Darden off the crossover, right to the basket. Blocked by Johnson. Again, though, Darden able to fight his way in and put the ball through the basket.
Well, for the first 45 minutes, he couldn't get anything done, huh? Just 2 field goals in the first 45. Now here in the first 2 minutes of overtime, he's got both baskets for Niagara.
Purple Eagles up 75-73 in double overtime. Flores kicks it out. Jaquette for 3. Money shot for Justin Jaquette. The Jaspers back on top, 76-75.
Talked about senior leadership, huh? You'd figure Kotovelchik the better three-point shooter, but it's the senior Jaquette who is inserted for his hustle and defense, as you see there, going down to the floor. Steps up and gives you a little bonus. A huge 3 right here. Penetration inside, and then Jaquette, you see, hand ready, shot ready. As soon as it got there, no question the senior was stepping up and drilling it.
7 points now for Jaquette. Karen into Reeves, and they'll let Darden bring it up against Jaquette.
Look at Reeves lumbering up the court.
His uniform is absolutely drenched from top to bottom. His uniform now a different shade of purple than everybody else. 12 on the shot clock. Karen spins, and a traveling violation. No basket. Rossi Karen turns it over. The 24th turnover of the game for Niagara.
And it's Kenny Minor once again. His quickness, clearly a travel, but it's the quickness of Minor, the pesk on the defensive end, making yet another big play.
Only 14 turnovers for Manhattan here tonight. Flores puts it up. Off the mark, Karen with a rebound.
Flores once again, he gets away with that push-off more than any player you're going to see.
Brooks draws a lot of attention, missed it, and a rebounding foul against Niagara. And against Tramel Darden is 4th. James Reeves still sitting on the court back at the other end, tying his sneaker back up. And taking a little flow, I would imagine.
Saying, look, I played about 46 minutes so far here. Look at him. As you said, a different color purple out there. He is drenched, and he's been laboring coming up and down the floor. Somebody doesn't think that buy into the semifinals is a big reward.
Yeah.
It comes into play now, huh?
And you know,
Niagara playing a tough game yesterday against Iona, now double overtime.
Now, regardless, Rob, whichever team survives this marathon is going to have to turn around and play tomorrow. And you never know how much energy will have been zapped from this game.
Still a lot different if it's bouncing back after one game in a row as opposed to 2 games in a row into that final.
Flores with 27 points and 9 rebounds after the made free throw. The transfer from Rutgers University eyes the rim. He has surpassed his season average with the 28 points. And Manhattan back on top by 3, 78-75, just under 2 minutes to go in double overtime. The Siena Fairfield game will follow this one.
Niagara's not been able to get touches for Mendez here in the second overtime.
Reeves with a nice kick-out pass to Brooks, who reties the game at 78.
So every time it looks like Manhattan's going to get themselves a little separation, Niagara's right there tugging at their shorts.
And David Brooks continues to knock down big shots for Niagara. He's up to 15 points.
When you look at the faces of the guys for Niagara right now, they're struggling. Darden coming back. You can see he's exhausted. We've talked about Reeves. Mendez, he hasn't gotten touches, but stepping up and making huge plays.
Jaquette, 10 seconds on the shot clock. Miner says, let's get it to Flores.
Yep, that's the way you bail yourself out late in the shot clock.
Spins, blocked by Reeves. Niagara with it under a minute to go. Karen trying to push the tempo to Mendez. Knocked away and out of bounds by Miner. Countless times here tonight, Kenny Miner out hustling everyone else to get a hand on a ball and stop Niagara from getting more points.
There must be 11-11s out there. He's all over the place. He closes ground. Mendez's first touch here in the second overtime. They were able to get him the basketball consistently throughout regulation in the first overtime. Not so here in the second.
And that touch was short-lived. Well, we talk about the inside guys, but the nice kick out to find David Brooks. Reeves sees the double team. Flores comes down to help off of Brooks. What are you going to do?
I'll tell you what, Mendez has put up monster numbers, but Reeves has done every single little thing. And so many times it's helping out Brooks. We saw him with the screen. We saw him keep a basketball alive long enough for Brooks to come up with a second shot opportunity. And that time on a nice kick out. Again, so important for your post players to have perimeter skills. Great passing ability by the big guy Reeves.
Niagara with 4 players in double figures. Mendez 31, Brooks 15, Reeves 10, and Darden 10. Manhattan has 4 players in double figures. Holmes and Konovalchik 12 apiece. 10 for Johnson and 28 for that man, Luis Flores.
Tournament time always about survive in advance, but whichever team wins this game, it's by virtue of survival.
Rossi Karen, David Brooks, Juan Mendez, James Reeves, and Tramel Darden on the floor. For Niagara, 54.8 seconds to go in double overtime. Rossi Karen, the senior backup point guard, watched by Miner. Here's Brooks. Flores right there with him. The 2 big guys are on the high post. And now with 13 seconds on the shot clock, Darden works his way to the right corner, uses the screen by Mendez, leaves his feet. Minor leaking out for the breakaway. And Rossi Karen doesn't allow him the layup. He's going to make Minor earn it at the free throw line.
Great defense at the other end to put Darden in jail in the lane. He wasn't able to find anybody as he kicks it back out. Again, who's it end up in whose hands? Minor. His quickness right here to come up with the loose ball, track it down. Good foul right here by Rossi Karen. Make him earn it from the line.
Minor's contribution has been major. He goes to the line to try and once again give the Jaspers the lead. Minor is 4 out of 6 from the line so far tonight. And the last 3 have been perfect swishes.
And the young freshman has made big plays coming down the stretch. Not playing like a freshman, that's for sure.
Well, he played at Dunbar. He played at Winchendon Prep, so he has played in lots of big-time games before coming to Manhattan. 2 for 2 again, and it's back to a 2-point lead. 80-78 Manhattan. 26 and 8/10 seconds to go in double overtime. A 2 will tie it. A 3 will win it.
Let's see if they can get Mendez a touch here in the half court.
15 seconds left in double OT. Here's the shot by Darden. It's too strong. Minor, the little man, gets the rebound, and the foul will send him back to the line for 2.
Yet another major contribution, huh? Smallest guy on the floor. That's a quickness rebound, just beating people to the basketball off the board. Mendez once again, though, not getting a touch on that offensive possession. Darden may have rushed it.
And that's the 5th foul on that man. James Mook Reeves fouls out with 10 points and 17 rebounds. Yeoman's work for the big fella out of Rochester, but his night is done.
And what a night it was. Not just the 17 rebounds and 10 points, but so many big plays. He's the guy that single-handedly broke the press time and time again out in the midcourt area, as well as being a safety valve up front.
And so he joins Alvin Cruz as another Niagara starter out because of fouls. So on a already relatively short bench, Joe Mihalik has to go even further onto the bench in this ultimate crunch time. The season on the line with 9.9 seconds to go in overtime. And now Kenny Minor will get a chance to go to the line, and with 2 more free throws, make it a 2-possession game.
And with the foul out, both coaches able to set things up. Joe Mihalik setting it up if he misses both, or if he ends up making one. Remember, the best 3-point shooter, no question about that, is Brooks. He's the guy who knocks it down and has done so once again today.
James Mathis has come back into the game. He is not a 3-point threat for Niagara. The free throw trickles in, a 3-point Manhattan lead.
Boy, that was up there for a while. Front rim, back rim, front rim, back rim, finally in.
7 for 9 from the line. All of his points coming from the stripe. He does it again, dirty but good. 82-78.
And now here Niagara needs to rush it up the floor and get a quick 3.
Mendez gets it into Rossi Karen. 7 seconds to go. The 3 pulls the Purple Eagles within 1. 5.4 seconds to go, and Niagara will not go away.
Oh my goodness, just talking about the fact they need to rush it up and get a 3. What do? They rush it up and get a 3. Every time they've needed to make a play tonight, somebody has stepped up and done it. Rossi Karen, the senior who doesn't get a lot of time, getting time because that guy, Cruz, is on the bench, steps up and makes the play.
And Rossi Karen, only 17% on his 3-point attempts this season, but that's as big as they get to keep the Purple Eagles alive.
No timeouts for either team, but both guys able to set things up in the huddle. Niagara's got to get out in the full court pressure, try and force the steal. If they don't come up with the steal, they have to give up the immediate foul. Manhattan, one of the top foul shooting teams, not only in the MAAC, but in the country. And they're going to have to make it happen from the line.
Konovelchik has come in. Johnson will be the inbound man for the Jaspers. 5.4 seconds to go in double overtime.
And Darden's the guy who's going to try to keep it out of Flores' hands.
Inbound goes to Flores. He lost it out of bounds. And the Purple Eagles get the ball back with 4.5 seconds to go.
Well, Darden just 4 of 20 from the floor, but making a huge defensive play. Keeping the basketball out of Flores' hands, forced the turnover.
Joe Mihalik, the coach for the Purple Eagles, trying to set things up, and here we go. Purple Eagles inbound the ball. Rossi Karen to Darden. Drops it inside. The pass goes to Karen. He missed it. Mendez couldn't get it off. And that is it. The Manhattan Jaspers survive the semifinals, and they are into the MAAC championship game.
Wow, what a basketball game. The Purple Eagles would not go away. It was Manhattan who had a chance at the end of regulation and at the end of the first overtime. They couldn't convert. At the end of the second overtime, it's Niagara who had plenty of chances inside, just couldn't get it to fall.
You can only think that Tremel Darden, when he went up right here, was thinking, I'm only 4 for 20, let's try and push it inside.
And Rossi Karen, what a terrific look right there. And Mendez on the offensive glass trying to fight through some contact. Luis Flores got his hand on the basketball. So the scoring leader makes a big defensive play right here. And he had a lot of basketball, and Konovalchik knocks it away.
And so Bobby Gonzalez, the coach of the year in the MAAC, gets a chance tomorrow in the MAAC finals against the winner of our next semifinal. Stay tuned. We'll hear from Luis Flores and from Bobby Gonzalez when we come back. The Jaspers win here on the MAAC Television Network. Back at Sovereign Bank Arena in Trenton, New Jersey, where the Manhattan Jaspers have survived a double overtime thriller, beating Niagara 82-81. Rob Kennedy is standing by with the victorious coach. Rob?
And a key word there, Doug, is survive. Your team survive, you get to advance. We talked this afternoon, you said it'd be a war. Did you know it was going to be a double overtime one?
I tell you, Rob, you know, it's hard to beat a good team 3 times. We swept them during the year. Every time we play them, it's a war. They got tough kids. We got tough kids. Neither one of those teams. We both had iron will. Nobody wanted to lose that game. Their kids were in tears. If we'd have lost, our kids would have been in tears. It was an unbelievable college basketball game.
And you talk about toughness, mental toughness as well for both teams. Every time it looked like you were going to pull away, Niagara was right there. They made huge plays coming down the stretch, and so did you guys.
Absolutely, Rob. We had so many opportunities. Jared Johnson at the buzzer on a back screen play for a lob. It goes in and out. You know, Louis driving, trying to get fouled. The last play, we turn it over. Then we have to get a stop. Kenny Minor, he was huge. The little freshman was huge.
Minor was major, as Doug said a couple times. His quickness. What did you say to your team, though, coming into the huddle at the end of the second regulation? You miss a shot and a chance to win it in regulation, and then now also at the end of overtime. What did you say when your team came back to the bench?
I just told them that they played a game last night. We had to hang in there, and eventually, hopefully, fatigue would catch up with them. And I told them also that, you know, we didn't want to leave here unless we got the win, that we weren't done yet. I told them I didn't care if it was 6 more overtimes. We just have to hang in until we get what we came here for.
Well, hang in there you did, and you get a chance to survive and advance into the finals. Good luck. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Rob, for having me.
All right, Doug, back to you.
All right, thank you, Rob, and thank you, Gonzo. Congratulations on the win as he and the Jaspers trying to join the Lady Jays in the championship column, and they take a huge step here tonight, surviving in double overtime to beat Mook Reeves and the Purple Eagles of Niagara. It was a 1-point Niagara lead at the intermission, tied at the end of regulation at 65 apiece, tied at the end of the first overtime at 71 apiece, and then ultimately an 82-81 victory for Bobby Gonzalez and the Jaspers. We'll take a break and come back and hear from our Pepsi player of the game, Luis Flores, in just a moment on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. GHI, healthcare coverage from A to Z. By HSBC, the world's local bank. FYE for your entertainment, music, movies, games, and more. And by JetBlue Airways. It's not the only way to fly, but it should be. No surprise, our Pepsi player of the game, Luis Flores, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 5 steals, and as you see down at the bottom of your screen there, he played all 50 minutes of double overtime. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi, standing by with Mr. Flores is Rob.
Thanks, Doug. In 50 minutes, you've got to be exhausted at the end of that game.
Well, I'll be lying if I was to say I'm not. hurt a little bit. I'm hurting a little bit, but I should just go back to the hotel, get a lot of rest, a lot of treatment. I should be ready for tomorrow.
Look like you got banged up on the baseline. Is that why you're hurt? Little knee to the thigh there?
Yeah, I mean, I got banged up throughout the whole game. I mean, they're a very physical team. They're a pretty good team. So, I got banged up throughout the whole game, but I think that, getting rest tonight is going to be very important for me.
Not only an exhausting game physically, but mentally as well, huh? You get into the first overtime. You had a chance to win it in regulation, chance to win it at the end of the first overtime. So not just physically exhausting, I would think it's mentally exhausting as well.
Well, we prepared to play this kind of games. Coach preaches being playing intense throughout the whole game and being ready to play 60 minutes if we have to. And I guess, that's what we had to do today.
Not quite 60, but 50. What the heck? Your offense, obviously the numbers that jump out to everybody, but a huge defensive play on the last possession. You got a block. They didn't give it to you in the stat sheet, but we saw it on tape. What were you thinking coming down that last defensive stop?
Well, that kid hit a 3 on me, and I felt like I let my team down. So I felt like I had to come up with something. And throughout the whole game, Juan Mendes was doing terrific, so I figured, I got to push in or something, or a blow or something, because I knew he was going to try to get it back in, and fortunately for me and for my team, I was able to get my hands on the ball.
All right, we got the second semifinal coming up here. Any thoughts on who you'd like to play? We were talking about it before. You said you didn't care. You just wanted it to be about, 5 or 6 overtimes?
Yeah, I really don't care who wins tonight, right here, right now. We just want to get a lot of rest, and I hope that they go into maybe 3 or 4 overtimes. That way they'll be a little banged up and a little hurt for tomorrow.
All right, congratulations on another great performance, and good luck in the final.
Thanks a lot.
All right, back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Lewis. Congratulations again. The Jaspers move into the MAAC Finals with an 82-81 double overtime victory over the Purple Eagles of Niagara on the MAAC Television Network.